College football on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Doak Campbell Stadium. Today, the Rice Owls arrive from Houston to face 17th-ranked Florida State on Bobby Bowden Field as a pair of sophomores ready for action in the September sunshine for Florida State. Quarterback Drew Weatherford looking to lead the Noles to what would be their third victory of the still young season. And for the Owls, sophomore receiver Jared Dillard has been their go-to target. He has got a touchdown pass the last 5 Rice games, dating back to a year ago. Welcome to Primetime Noles, our first afternoon game of the year. With Keith Jones, I'm Paul Kennedy. Tom Block on the sunshine and sidelines here today. Keith, the day of first here, the first meeting between Rice and Florida State, and for FSU, they're looking to get the offense going for the first time all year.
Florida State, as they come out in this ballgame, Paul, they need to score on their first offensive possession. Defensively, they need to shut some things down. It has not been a very productive first half for this Florida State team through the first 3 ballgames. The Rice Owls give them an opportunity to get untracked early.
Let's take a look at what we'll focus on inside the game today and talking about the early portion this afternoon. Florida State looking to build confidence with a quick start. Come out of the box and try and score in the opening quarter for the first time this year. Quarterback play will be so very important in that regard, and we expect to see not only Drew, but Xavier Lee as well. And Rice continues to travel coast to coast from its Houston campus in Pasadena against UCLA a couple of weeks ago. Today, young head coach Todd Graham seeks his first career win against Bobby Bowden, the winningest coach in the history of college football. Rice and the Noles for the first time ever on a glorious Saturday afternoon. Our kickoff is next here on Sun Sports and Primetime Noles. The Seminoles on a glorious September afternoon as we are ready for college football. The Rice Owls from Conference USA and the tradition-rich Seminoles. Chief Osceola aboard Renegade, planting the flaming spear. Keith, one of the great entrances in tradition in all of college football, magnified by the presence of that man in his 31st season, Bobby Bowden.
If you've ever suited up and played on this grass, then Renegade running out there with Chief Osceola on top is about as good as it gets. 31st year for Bobby B.
361 career wins. You contrast that with the fact that his counterpart across the field in Todd Graham today coaches as the head man, only his 4th game seeking his very first win. But he's not shy of ambition considering where they have played. Against Houston, crosstown rivalry, the Bayou Bucket. They've been at UCLA, and a week ago took on the defending national champions in the Texas Longhorns. That's their young freshman, Clark Fangmeyer, kicking us underway. And this is Jocelyn Shaw making his way out to the 20-yard line. He really takes a lick there on a short run back of 9. And so Florida State will go on offense first. Rice actually won the opening toss, KJ, and deferred, handing Drew Weatherford, FSU sophomore quarterback, in this offense, the football first.
Well, the thought there, if you're a Rice Owl fan, is twofold. Number one, you get the ball to start the second half. And secondly, if you can first force Florida State out early, as you see updated numbers there on Weatherford, then field position is in your favor. So let's see how it turns out.
For Drew Weatherford, in his 17th start of a still young career, across the grain on first down and over the head of his fullback in the flat in Joe Surratt. As we check out our Checkers starting lineup that will include Joe up front, Mario Henderson, Jackie Claude, John Frady over the football, and a change at right guard today, KJ. David Overmeyer is in. Shannon Boatman is from Texas. Corey Niblock, who had started last week at that spot, a bit bruised and is out today. Lorenzo Booker, Joe Surratt, Davis, Dakota Fag, and what a fabulous freshman is that tight end in Brandon Warren. Raised a few eyebrows. First running play of the afternoon. What a gaping hole off that right side and out to the 30-31 yard line. That may be 10 yards on his first carry today for Lorenzo Booker. The Rice Owls, KJ, play a 3-4 front as presented by Checkers here. You see George Chukwu, DeJuan Cooper, Courtney Gordon, and then here 4 linebackers in that second wave, including the freshman spur linebacker Andrew Sendejo. and then a 4-man secondary. Although the Bandit linebacker, Chad Price, or Bandit defensive back, is almost in the box.
A lot of times you'll look up there, it'll be a 4-4 stack.
They're blitzing this time, so the flat is open. And the completion to Brandon Warren. Sendejo, the Spur linebacker, Chad Price, the Bandit linebacker, number 30 and 21. They'll be coming a lot. Will that create opportunities? As you see here, Warren has his first catch of the day.
Well, if you can establish the running game where your play action pass plays will freeze some linebackers, there'll be some room over the middle of the field, an ideal place to use Warren. That time, as you see his numbers coming in, they used him out in the flat, but he is exceptional 12 and 15 yards downfield in the middle of the field.
Number 11 throws for a gain of 11. And another first down. 2 snaps, maybe 3 first downs in 3 plays. Booker hits it up inside. Lorenzo Booker, the 5th-year senior from Oxnard, California. And if there's anyone on this football team who really looks to cut it loose today, it's Florida State's offensive captain.
And that's what he wants to improve right there. 2.7 yards, well below his 5 yards per carry average for his career.
2 carries, close to 20 yards. As we will see him today alternating with Antone Smith. Still the lone setback. They'll hand it to him again, and he is met at the line of scrimmage as he comes into Rice territory across midfield to the 39. The defensive tackle in that 3-4, the senior Courtney Gordon, with this stop.
A Rice defense, Paul, that is giving up a lot of yardage on the ground. They average surrendering 234 yards a game, as you see Gordon there. And certainly that's something that the Florida State offensive staff took a look at and said, you know, we have got to be able to run the ball against these people.
And clearly a week ago simply mauled by Texas. Outclassed there, surrendered 52 points. And here this diving completion, the reception made at the 29-yard line by Warren, who nets 18. The concern is here in front of Ja'Cory Shepherd. You open up against Houston, KJ. You play UCLA in Texas. Emotionally, can you be sharp for the Noles this afternoon?
Well, if you can't get up for Florida State, then you've got a bigger problem with your program than just simply 0-3. And that is something that, you know, the staff at Rice, I'm sure, has talked to their kids about. They have played some big names in UCLA and Texas, but Florida State in Florida, also a big name.
Tack 9 more yards onto Brandon's total as Florida State, with its initial possession of the afternoon, is now inside the Rice 30. And some motion along the line of scrimmage. And Shannon Boatman, the only Texas starter in that offense today from Beaumont, Texas, appeared to move.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 73. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. It remains first down.
A junior college All-American.
Some 70-plus kids on Rice's roster there in Houston from Texas. Boatman, the only Texan that starts for Florida State. 3 or 4 other kids are from the great state. They are freshmen and backups. But Boatman, as you mentioned, the junior college transfer, the only starter.
Now the tight end in Warren shifts and heads to the far side of the field in motion on 1st and 15. Inside give, and look at Booker with daylight. Booker with the burst to the 10-yard line, to the 5-yard line, and shoved out of bounds right at the 2 by the safety and Andre Downs. 1st and goal, Seminoles. The first time this year that Florida State has had an offensive play of over 30 yards.
Great job by Surratt to take down the blitzing linebacker, and Booker hits in right behind him. The longest run from scrimmage by far for Florida State in this 06 season. Booker had the previous long at just 14.
A gain of 32. Lorenzo Booker, a terrific start to this game. Florida State on the doorstep, and Joe Surratt has his 4th touchdown in as many weeks as Florida State starting fullback. Touchdown, Joe Surratt makes it 6-0 Noles on a sun-splashed afternoon. Could you have hoped for a better script if you're a Seminole fan to the way this game opens?
Not at all. That's exactly what Jeff Bowden and his staff wanted to have happen in the first few moments, opening moments of this ball game. As you mentioned, 4th straight game for Surratt with a touchdown.
And so Gary Sismacia through Pete's post will look to add the extra point after Lorenzo Booker rushed the ball for over 50 yards, including a jaunt of 32. Joe Surratt scores the TD. Gary Sismasian adds the extra point. Florida State up by a touchdown. Rice to field the ball when we return.
At Checkers Right Side Drive-Thru, we would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. Hooray for Devin! Hooray! And hooray for our massive Big Buford.
Double burger, double cheese, all the fixins, 2 for $3.
The Left Side Drive-Thru would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. What's that? Take it off.
How about the Left Side's world-famous Big Buford? Made to order, now just 2 for $3.
Totally Football on FSN. Your inside source for all pro and college gridiron news. Host Laura Oakman breaks all the stories before anyone else.
Took me a little while to get used to him, and when we did, he made the plays for us.
We'll take you inside the huddle and behind the scenes.
If that's as good as we can play, so be it.
For all the pigskin action. Totally Football. Tomorrow on FSN.
Oh, I know. Well, tell me about it. That bang was so bootleg, I had it about. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. Those kicks are the lit. Must have been spinny.
You may not understand your kids.
Dude, that Breezy's blazing. She's totally jocking him.
But your kids understand you. Talk to them about drugs. Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Hey, Seminole fans, watch the best plays, the last-second decisions, and then make your call. Watch Sun Sports after every Florida State game for the best post-game coverage. Geico Seminole post-game, immediately following the Seminole game.
It's back. The Chevy Model Year-End Event. We're moving out the last of the 06 Chevy models. So make your move. They're going fast. More Americans choose Chevy. Claim yours before they're gone.
See your Southern Chevy dealers.
College football on Sun Sports is brought to you by Checkers, the official burger of the Seminoles. By your Southern Chevy dealers. Visit us today to find out why Chevy is America's #1 brand, #1 value. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Isn't the state capitol impressive today, as are the marching Chiefs? We are underway. Rice with the audacity of allowing Florida State to field the football first. But as we welcome the third member of our telecast team, Tom Block, aboard. Tommy, there was good reason why Rice was content to let Florida State handle the football as we open this afternoon.
Well, Paul, that reason would be Florida State's offensive futility in the first half prior to this first drive today. FSU with only 5 points in the first half all season long to this point. Rice, meanwhile, had been outscored 37-zip in the first quarter. Make it 44-zip, and how monumental is it that Florida State gets a first quarter score? Well, take a look at the numbers. In the last 8 games, FSU has mustered just 8 points in the first quarter prior to this. They've almost matched it on the opening drive of the game with that touchdown to put them up 7-zip. So a nice start for the Noles, Paul, who have been looking to kickstart the answer here early on.
And Tom, as Nick Gandy, our statistician, reminds us all, that is the first touchdown by Florida State offensively. Keith bears out on this in the first half this year.
I believe it also is probably only the second time Florida State has scored in an opening possession, which is when you want to set the tone. See Billy Sexton there with the visor on, Joe Surratt, the big fullback.
Big would be the operative word there at 254 pounds, but he's become quite a weapon in a very short period of time. As Graham Gano, the sophomore from Pensacola, will be kicking away in a triple tandem. 3 men back, and Andre down, Chris Douglas, and Marcus Knox. And trying to angle it to the far side of the field, Graham Gano, for the first time this year, kicks it out of bounds, and thus Rice will have the ball at the 35-yard line. Rice is missing its regular kickoff return man in Mike Falco, who is injured today. Our Chevrolet keys to the game this afternoon, Keith.
Well, for Rice offensively, they need to sustain some drives. They cannot afford 3 and outs. And defensively, attack the line of scrimmage. They've got to create something at the point of attack if they hope to have any success. For Florida State, we've already seen it. They've got to score early. And defensively, control field position, particularly in the Clemson game, also in the Miami game. Florida State played too much of the game on their side of the 50. Need to reverse that.
The quarterback is Joel Armstrong. On first down, out of the eye, a 3-step drop and throwing deep, and that is juggled and held on to across midfield. And a first down by the accomplished sophomore, Jarrett Dillard. First down, Rice, a gain of 18 on the slant. Joel Armstrong was recruited as an option quarterback, moved this year to wide receiver, and due to injury to the starter Chase Clement, pressed back under center for the second straight week. He opens at quarterback. A pickup of 18 against the Florida State Seminole defense. There goes Dillard in motion, and movement along the line. And Andre Fluellen may have jumped, number 96. Brad Allen, the referee, Keith, worked the Troy game here
that he did
a couple of weeks ago.
And you mentioned Armstrong as we get the
Prior
call
to
here.
the snap, offside with contact, number 96 defense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
With contact it was. The offensive line here, some changes. David Birkin shifts from guard to left tackle. That's Robbie Hijos on the left side. Austin Wilkinson, a sophomore, over the ball. David Perkins starts for the second straight week at right guard. Luke Barber is the tackle on the right side, and you see the backs rather quickly there, including Taylor Wardlow at tight end, his first collegiate start. Nothing doing on the right side. Buster Davis shutting down the ground game inside, and the carry here by John Wall. And top tackler, Atlantic Coast Conference on the stop here. The 4-man front, Alex Boston, moving inside for Everett Brown, his first start of his freshman year. Davis in the middle of Geno Hayes and Lawrence Timmons. Carter, fabulous performance against Clemson. Williams, Myron Roll, his first start, and J.R. Bryant. And there is Joel Armstrong. Out across the 30 to the 29-yard line.
That's what Armstrong was brought in by former head coach Ken Hatfield to do. That's run the option. When Todd Graham got the job, he's put in a West Coast version, but with injuries at the quarterback position, they're reverting back to old school. You see Buster Davis with a missed tackle. Armstrong, very quick feet, and he is very accustomed to running that option.
On the draw, hemmed in and dropped for a loss is Quentin Smith, the senior running back. Darrell Burston, the only senior on the defensive front, has this stop. He made the initial contact on the All-Conference USA running back in Smith. There is Darrell Burston from Fayetteville, Georgia.
These Florida State down linemen almost like wide receivers in that they're moving from wide receiver to slot to H-back. They're moving from defensive end to defensive tackle to nose. Wherever they've got healthy bodies, they stick somebody in there.
A great deal of movement in the first 4 weeks of the season. Wide open is Dillard for a touchdown. Wide open. Touchdown, Jarrett Dillard. That would be the 6th consecutive game that Jarrett Dillard has hauled in a touchdown pass. We're an extra point away from being tied.
And Dillard averaging 6.7 catches a ball game. How do you let their leading by far wide receiver go unaccounted for? Great execution by Rice. Very poor play by Florida State's defense.
That is a 32-yard touchdown strike. Armstrong to Dillard. And the extra point locks us up, kicked here by Fangmeyer. A wide receiver turned passing quarterback in Joel Armstrong finds one of the best, the playmaker, Jarrett Dillard, running free. 7-7 early at Dover. Two teams in Florida State and Rice who have combined to score 5 points total in the first quarter all year long. Rice has their first TD of the year, scored in the first period. Florida State as well, Keith. And here comes that touchdown strike to Jarrett Dillard.
What happens is, with that play action fake and the threat of the option, the safety rolls up, and Roger Williams cannot get over from his deep safety position in time. Great execution, nicely thrown.
You're saying that was Rogers' man there as he came flying in left or right?
Depending on the call, it was either the safeties or Rogers or both. But a busted play in terms of Rice that out-executed Florida State on that one.
What a confidence boost this has to be for a team, again, seeking its very first win in a club that a year ago was only 1-10 under the veteran head coach, a man of accomplishment in Ken Hatfield, who left after 14 years, retired, and in comes Todd Graham. So they go on the road here to Doak Story, Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field, and answer Florida State in just 5 snaps.
You see the Florida State sideline there, and one of the things that happens when you get beat like that, where you're out executed, is everybody goes back and sits down and thinks about responsibilities and what you're supposed to be doing, not what you did do. A lot of self-reflection going on that Florida State sideline for the defensive unit.
Well, the second kickoff of the still early first quarter by Clark Fangmeyer, the freshman from Houston, Texas, and that's where Rice University is located. In tandem, Jocelyn Shaw, the junior from Plant City, and Lorenzo Booker. A terrific first quarter for him, 54 yards rushing already. This will come down to Jocelyn Shaw with a sliver of daylight, and then he is tripped up at the 25-yard line out to the 27. The coaching staff, KJ, said they were going to hold open auditions, returning kicks and punts this afternoon in Doak, that they were not satisfied at all with what they've seen. Rice offsides on that kickoff.
Well, I can give you some statistics.
Offsides on the kicking team, number 10. That 5-yard penalty is forced in the end of the run. First down.
Florida State 105th in the country on average kickoff return, 102 on average punt return.
And as the offense comes on the field, having just raced through Doak, 8 plays, 80 yards, will remind you that Florida State, unfortunately, out of 119 teams, 119 in Division I, right now ranks only 105th in total offense. Just 105, and of course, you're familiar with FSU. That's unheard of here. The ground game has been a struggle. Antone Smith breaks a tackle, sheds 2, lowers his head, and has a first down, driving across the 45 to the 46. Well, Antone Smith, a new tailback and a new fullback as well, Tom Luck.
That's right. Bobby Bowden this week said that no discredit to Joe Surratt, but he really wanted to see some other fullbacks work. So Matt Dunham, number 40, is out there. Now, he has played this year against Miami, has not carried the ball yet, so expect to see that. He was a prolific player coming out of Georgia, broke Herschel Walker's career record touchdowns. Steve Dunham.
Chris Davis for the first time, Tom, down to the 44-yard line. Yeah, Matt Dunham shattered Herschel Walker's career touchdown mark in Georgia, and in talking to veteran assistant coach Billy Sexton, his eyes really lit up in describing the attributes of a young true freshman in Matt Dunham, as well as the play of Antone Smith at the outset of this year.
And if you think Joe Surratt is big, just fathom this. Durham is an inch taller, weighs 5 pounds more, and runs about a 4.7 40.
He gets a 200 and close to 60 pounds going at about 4.7. And with some strength, as you see, gang tackled here and a negligible gain there. He was originally signed as a running back, was Matt Dunham. Had played that when he shattered, as Tom mentioned, all of Herschel Walker's records. But when he signed in 05 and had to sit out a year due to academics, he put on close to 20 pounds of muscle. He has gotten huge.
He is a big, big load. And of course, one of the things that you've got to be careful of a freshman is pass protection. That's one of the reasons why freshmen don't get the opportunity, particularly at fullback, to start as much as you might think they would, because you don't want your quarterback getting killed because somebody picked up the wrong guy.
Left guard Jackie Claude, number 68, may have been the focus of this flag. It will be the third against the Noles.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 68, 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
He rocked to the junior from Miami Edison, and Florida State has drawn its third penalty. Coach Bobby Bowden, an area of early concern. for Coach. He said it was time for us to execute, and that meant Coach Mark McHale's offensive line, but every unit on this team. This has been the first week, Keith, in the last 4 that Florida State has enjoyed, due to weather, a full week of practice. They've been able to get all their preparation in for this afternoon. Weatherford, the long out to Davis. He caught it over his shoulder. Right at the first down marker, he steps out of bounds. That's his second grab, this time in front of Bubba Hurd on the edge.
Well, Davis, number 1 on this team in catches last year, had 51 receptions, just 6 catches coming into this ball game. Already he's got 2 here in the first quarter.
That is number 95 and number 96 of his career. Both he and Lorenzo Booker are closing in on 100 career grabs. They both just passed the illustrious Fred Biletnikoff a couple of weeks ago. So climbing high up the career ladder in catches. Trying to add to their stats, a wobbler thrown his way this time by Drew Weatherford. Kind of a knuckleball under pressure as Rice brought the heat on Drew.
Rice will come after you. They will walk linebackers up. They'll bring up their safety numbers there on Weatherford here this afternoon. So you've got to account for those silver helmets, or you're going to end up looking out your ear hole after you release the ball.
One thing they have done well so far in 3 weeks is put pressure on passers. 10 sacks so far, lead Conference USA. They're in the top 20 in the nation. Antone Smith wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage and driven back into his own backfield. They filled the hole. Brian Raines, the linebacker, followed the nose guard, DeJuan Cooper. And off they go. It's third down. Nothing but smash mouth up front out of what you call, Keith, an 8-man front.
Well, they'll show it as a 3-4, but they walk one of their defensive backs up, their rover up, and a lot of times you'll see 8 people around the line of scrimmage. Of course, this is a 3rd and long situation. There'll be more of a prevent, a nickel. But you can see a lot of folks close to the line of scrimmage in 1st and 2nd down when you play Rice.
A 4-man spread. Warren split out to the far side. Weatherford with time throws the slant. Greg Carr, what a move, not once but twice. Greg Carr with a first down to the 20-yard line. For tall Greg Carr, all 6 feet 6 inches of him, the sophomore makes only his 5th grab all year.
And we've seen in games prior where Weatherford checks down to this little route right here. And the criticism of it, Paul, is that when Carr or Dakota Fagg catches the ball, they have not achieved enough yardage for the first down. So it's incumbent upon the receiver to make somebody miss and get downfield, or you have no shot at moving the sticks. That time, Greg Carr with great yards after the catch.
Absolutely, and a first down. Antone starts right, breaks it back left, has the edge, takes on a tackler at the 10-yard line, and is spilled out of bounds. He ran right over the top of Gary Anderson.
Well, great job by Anderson outside, or this would have been 6. Cody Fagg had held him up. They were hand fighting quite a bit, and Anderson was able to get off the block to make the tackle. It's not pretty, but it's effective.
What a load he is at 188 pounds, a sophomore from South Florida, and Pahokee. He remains the lone setback. Drew throwing the fade for Carr on the near side. A jump ball batted down, incomplete. Well played by Brandon King. At 5'9", considerably shorter than Carr, but KJ, could you play it any better than that?
No, you could not. You've got, when you have that type of a disadvantage, Carr going 6'6" and you're 5'9", you've got to fight for the football, which means you've got to get up quick, keep your position, and get that ball down. Watch him tip that ball down so that Carr doesn't even have a chance of getting it off the deflection.
It was only the 3rd incomplete pass today, fired by Weatherford. Very effective at 5 of 8. Florida State is in the red zone once again and trying to punch it in a second time, and there goes number 6 on 2nd and goal, driving it inside. So fluid. They called him Deuce when he was at Pahokee High School. Down in South Florida, he wore number 2 in high school.
I thought it was because he could run the 40-yard dash in about 2 seconds.
Florida State in the red zone this year has been the picture of perfection, KJ. 9 out of 10 times, counting this afternoon, they've been able to finish it off when they come inside the 20-yard line. It's just getting that close. It's been the problem. The quick pitch off the counter. Antone lowering his head, driving into the end zone. Touchdown, Florida State.
Now that'll go down as a simple 4-yard run, but that is as close to the best run Antone Smith has ever made in his career at Florida State.
That is high praise for what is Antone's first rushing touchdown of the year. Number 1 for number 6 here in 06. Florida State retakes the lead. And that is the first touchdown scored by a Florida State running back other than Joe Surratt, who has to be walking around saying, what's going on here? I thought that was my job. Score touchdowns.
And Antone as well as Booker going, all right, dude, you got yours, we're getting ours.
Antone is in. The extra point by Sismacy is good, and as KJ says, look at the power drive here. On this warm day, if you're a punter, hey, you better have your feet up. Just relax. Haven't had to kick yet. We're going back and forth, and here's the touchdown by Antone Smith.
Now, what I mean by this being a great run, he stopped right there at the 4-yard line, and he just keeps driving and driving and driving. That's knowing where the goal line is and getting to it. Now, if you've scored 4 times already, you hope the defense pays attention to you. Certainly Rice did. There's the fake to Surratt, and then the misdirection back the other way to Smith. And, of course, that drive was aided by a huge first down reception and run by Greg Carr. Run for the first down.
There is Billy Sexton in his 30th year of tutoring running backs here. And the scoring drive, the longest so far, 11 plays, 72 yards. I asked Billy yesterday, who does Antone Smith remind you of in your 3 decades? And he said, let me go all the way back to 1984. You remember Tony Smith here? Bobby Bowden had Tony Smith. He enjoyed that great game in the Gator Bowl against Oklahoma State when he went for 201 yards. In the eyes of the coaching staff, Antone Smith reminds them of Tony Smith, Miami native. No relation there, but they run a lot alike.
Very much so. And Tony had great speed as well as Antone, although I think Antone is indeed faster.
Graham Gano to kick against the football version of the Ted Williams shift, as you see here. When's the last time you saw this, KJ?
It's a while.
3 return men. Again, the best in Conference USA, Mike Falco, the senior, is out today and injured. This will be a short kick taken on the run at the 10-yard line. Out across the 20, 25, 30, 32-yard line by Chris Douglas. Very effective. That's a 22-yard return. Enter to win the SunTrust Big Game Tailgate and tickets for 20 sweepstakes. And you could get 20 tickets to the Florida and Florida State game. And that includes passes to our VIP tailgate party that Keith and I always look forward to being invited to. Tom comes along as well. Just visit any SunTrust branch in Florida before Halloween, October 31st to register. Against a 3-man FSU front. Joel Armstrong has already thrown a 32-yard touchdown pass today to Jarrett Dillard. Out of the gun with the pressure on, he finds Dillard, and Dillard dropped the ball. Took his eyes off it, looked upfield.
Well, Geno Hayes ran around about 90 yards worth and almost got in on a sack.
Well, he has tremendous burst in speed, as Florida State's number 10.
I don't think that's exactly how Mickey would draw that shift up. 20 tackles go along with the interception this year.
There's 20 tackles, second on the team, only to Buster Davis. Shoulder to shoulder with Geno now on 2nd and 10. Play action, rolling with green grass in front of him. He guns on the run, and that's a first down on his forward progress. Should be upfield at the 45-yard line by Jarrett Dillard.
And again, Florida State's got to do a better job of accounting for the mobility of Armstrong. That time Marcus Ball gets sucked inside, cannot put any pressure on Armstrong, and then the old drag route across the middle. Safety has to come up and make the stop, but not before the reception is made.
There is some toughness to Dillard, too, to hold on to Armstrong's completion there. A gain of a dozen to move the chains. 3.5 minutes to go in this opening quarter, and you see that Rice takes a long look at the sideline. Passing game coordinator David Beatty signaling in the play. And the inside give, and he is jacked up right at the line of scrimmage. What a hit inside. As they unstack Lance Ludiker. And there was Lawrence Timmons to blow him up in the hole.
The triple option, very difficult to defense. You have to be disciplined. You've got to take care of the first one right there, the fullback, and you've got to account for the quarterback as well as the pitch. And you have to be disciplined.
Might have been the shot of the day so far. On third down. There is Dillard to bail him out and earn the first down. Open in the flat in front of Tony Carter on the outside. And Keith, he was running free.
This just in. They throw to 81. Find him.
That's his fourth reception.
He's over here in this trips.
Right.
But you've got to account for him. 2 go down, 1 goes out. There's nobody within 7 or 8 yards of him. And then he turns upfield and gets enough for the first down.
The quarterback in Joel Armstrong has been a star for Rice so far. He is connected on 4 out of 5 for 72 yards. The blitz coming, and the Noles will get to it. The Noles know the numbers too, and it's Lawrence Timmons with the first sack of the day. And not insignificantly, only the 5th sack this season by FSU's defense.
Certainly Florida State has not been able to get to the quarterback like years past. That time, Timmons comes from the offense's left-hand side, ignores the play action, goes right after Armstrong, and records sack number 1 here in this afternoon.
Sacks have been so hard to come by. Why is that this year? It's actually the 4th sack this year. Armstrong had it deflected at the line of scrimmage, and that too has been a rarity.
Just the second
Moffitt got this one.
Just the second deflection at the line of scrimmage by Florida State's interior defensive lineman.
So, Keith, we talk about pressure, getting your arms up to bat away balls, fill the passing lanes. What's taking place at Florida State in its front wall and on the edge is not as effective as we're accustomed to.
Well, the biggest thing is you've got people that are playing out of their natural position due to the injuries.
3rd and close to 20 now. We'll call it 3rd and 19 for Armstrong. He'll pull it down, bounces off one of his linemen, comes across midfield and gets down in front of Buster Davis, which is, in my view, a pretty wise decision.
Well, there's a reason that you're a junior, 2-year letterman, experienced.
You can get into Rice.
And you can get into Rice, exactly.
You're smart enough to get down in front of him. And for the first time today, the punting unit is on. Armstrong goes off. He leaves Rice in a pretty good shape at midfield as Chris Davis, the incumbent returning punts, is set to field this kick by Jared Scruggs. He should be able to pin Florida State deep in its own territory. Fair catch called for, and then the ball bounds into the end zone. Not a lot of wind to carry that punt. It sails 48 yards, but that's not necessarily what Coach Todd Graham and the Owls were hoping for. So Bobby Bowden with our Geico quote of this game: we're not getting big plays prior to today. We're just, let me underscore this, says the coach, we're not getting big plays.
When your longest run from a tailback is 14 yards, and the longest pass completion is to a tailback for 34, then you're not. Here's our first chance to get a look at Xavier Lee, other than trying to throw the ball downfield on the last play of the ball game.
Nice warm ovation for the sophomore from Daytona.
And Paul, this is exactly what Florida State needed to do. Get Lee in the ball game, 2nd or 3rd or 4th series, regardless of what Weatherford has done, just to get him some play action.
And with a different quarterback and a different cadence and a different tempo to it, flags fly before his first snap. Bobby Bowden had put him on the field, KJ, at the end of the Clemson game. Just the
Ball start. Offense number 45. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Just to give him the shot at the Hail Mary against Clemson in the waning seconds. This is his first true play here. of the year, and his first action really since the Clemson game a year ago in Death Valley. On first down, and this is Lee. And Lee is spun down and taken down for a loss of 5 at the 15-yard line by Brian Raines.
See, that's how you play a mobile quarterback. We saw Florida State lose containment a couple of times on Armstrong. This time Raines stays at home and makes sure that Lee is not able to get around him. There's a reason why he's #1 in the country in solo tackles. And right there is an example why. Brian Raines averages 9 solo tackles a ball game.
New center in there as well, Dumika Atkins. The penalty was flagged on Charlie Graham, the freshman tight end, number 45.
And now another one.
Florida State has already been hit with 4 penalties in the first quarter that shows as if it's expired here.
Disregard the flag. There is no foul. Time in the quarter expired.
There you go.
That's the end of the first quarter.
We're there in period number 1. Are you satisfied with what you've seen?
I think much improved. I'd like to see Lee with an opportunity to sustain a drive. And certainly Florida State's worked on their running game. If not for the big breakdown on defense, would have pitched a shutout.
And one word of advice for Tom Block on the sidelines today, sunscreen. Very important on a day like today. You gotta like the look of the scoreboard here, Seminole fans. Despite that catch, 14-7, Noles.
It's game day. Gear up with the best college football preview show in the state. Sun Sports and Rec Warehouse look inside the matchups, inside the numbers, and get you ready for all the action. Watch Rec Warehouse College Kickoff only on Sun Sports.
Welcome back to Doak Campbell Stadium. Florida State on top of Rice 14-7 as we start the second quarter here at Bobby Bowden Field. Tom Block back on the sideline, and this is the first ever meeting between Florida State and Rice. Not a lot of connections between these two schools, but one interesting nugget. Bill Peterson, who was Florida State's football coach from 1960 to 1970, when he left FSU, he went to Rice before ending up with the Houston Oilers. Spent 1 year at Rice. Of course, Peterson very innovative while he was at Florida State in the decade of the 60s. But the interesting side note to that is that when he left, Florida State hired Larry Jones. But at that time, the president was Stanley Marshall, and the other finalist for the job, and bear in mind, this is prior to the 71 season, a guy by the name of Bobby Bowden, who was at West Virginia at that point. They had serious conversations with Bobby, decided instead to go with Larry Jones, who was doing a great job as the defensive coordinator at Tennessee. And nobody even knew that Florida State interviewed Bobby until several years later. Of course, Stanley Marshall got a chance to not make the same mistake twice, I guess you would say. He hired Bobby in 1976. 31 years later, Coach Bowden's still on the sideline for Florida State.
And those are Pete's posts, are they not, behind you, Tom? The goal post there that in honor of Bill Peterson and his decade here.
Indeed they are, Paul.
The man who brought Bobby Bowden to this stadium. Here's Xavier Lee as we open the second quarter. Everybody covered, so he's going to take off on second down, and he'll get upfield to the 20, 25-yard line. I had thought Bill Peterson, KJ, had gone right to the Houston Oilers. No, he went to Rice.
He went right to Houston. Just happened to spend the first year there on the campus of Rice, and then went to the Astrodome and the Oilers.
Xavier Lee with the gain of 9. That 1971 staff that he had in his interim year before joining the NFL included Tobin Rote, who was a Hall of Fame quarterback, Pro Football Hall of Fame at Rice, and also Bobby Ross. A young Bobby Ross was on Coach Pete's staff, now the head coach at Army. It's an illustrious career, won a national championship. Stop fade, Davis comes back, fields the football, comes across midfield, puts it on the ground, and it belongs to Rice. That has been a problem for Chris Davis this year.
Fumble number 15 on the year for Florida State, the 6th that they have lost. They only put the ball on the ground 19 times total last year, and they're 4 within that not so good statistic. Nice throw by Lee, good setup by Davis to cut back inside. Then you've got to wrap the ball up. Too many times Florida State's wideouts have been laying the ball on the ground.
It was Andrew Sendejo, too, number 30, who comes along. That spur linebacker, punched it out of there. The freshman. Chris Davis has laid it on the ground earlier this year, had trouble fielding punts. So looking to improve in that department, but close to midfield. Great shape for Joel Armstrong as Rice opens the second quarter, and they must call timeout. There are a number of changes up front, a number of offensive linemen that have had to be shifted around.
That's their first charge, timeout.
Injuries have really hampered the Rice Owls in the first 3 weeks of the season, so they're going to stop and talk about it right here off the quick turnover. We'll step aside as well. Early in period number 2. Nice job so far by that man's football team. Todd Graham, at the age of 41 in his first year as a head coach, first at Rice, had been a defensive coordinator at both Tulsa and with Rich Rodriguez at West Virginia as he succeeds Ken Hatfield. Very atypical of the thinking in this day and age, KJ. Rather than hiring veteran college coaches, he has dipped into the high school ranks and hired some of the more accomplished high school coaches in both Texas and in Oklahoma.
No less than 4 who come directly from high school to the Division I college level.
On first down, the quick hitch to the far side. This is Dillard. He gets a block. He has a first down. They're being coached up pretty well today. Well done. Tommy Henderson provided the block for Dillard. Another big hitter with Joel Armstrong at the helm. In fact, David Beatty is passing game coordinator. Todd Dilbeck, who controls the ground game, his tight end coach Dean Jackson, all from the prep ranks, some as many as 25 years. That enables you to establish relationships with high school coaches. Certainly has to help you in terms of recruiting with the new staff. Armstrong, the boundary, miscommunication on the far side. It'll fall incomplete, throwing in the direction of Evan Fentress.
And you talk about the coordinators of the passing and running game. Of course, the offensive coordinator in general, overall,
the boss,
is Major Applewhite, who will go down in Texas lore forever and a day. That won't hurt you much either when you're talking to high school kids about coming to play college football.
Out of the eye set on second down, and Rice really could use 5-6 yards here. They're going to run the draw, and there's no getting away. They'll lose 2. Wrapped up, Lawrence Timmons takes him down for a loss on the play. His second stop in Rice's backfield. He's had a nice first half.
That he has. That's a great read and a great play by Timmons, working upfield and then turns back inside to his left with that quickness, able to make a stop for a 1-yard loss.
Now, what does Major Applewhite call in this situation, going without a huddle? Third down and 12. Kind of puts him on the spot, doesn't it?
You got the trips down the bottom. Watch the flat.
Run the pick play has Rice. Prior to this, Armstrong throws, and he throws a pick here. Picked up by the freshman Marcus Ball. Ball, who can really fly. Look at those wheels. There he goes, and he is spilled at the 15-yard line. His first career interception.
Ball coming off a 10-tackle team-high performance against Clemson. The true freshman out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. He's going to start right here. And what he's going to do is he's going to work back and then look inside. Right there he is. If he had not intercepted it, I'm pretty sure Jamie Robinson would have said it would have been mine. And then he shows you some of those Ball family genes, as in Reggie, with some good motoring downfield.
Only the 5th interception this year for Ball. And get this, that is only the 2nd interception thrown all season by Rice. Only their 2nd in 84 passing attempts. They haven't made those kind of mistakes. Booker dropped in his own backfield, taken down by Brian Raines. There's Brian Raines, who leads the nation, KJ, in solo tackles. Gets another one there.
Mentioned that earlier, 9 solo stops a game, 37 overall. Number 1 in the country in solo tackles, number 4 overall when you factor in the assist. Just a sophomore.
Try these numbers, KJ. 17 tackles against Houston, 12 in Pasadena against UCLA 2 weeks ago. Xavier Lee throws off the fingertips. Incomplete of to Cody Fadd. The first time that Florida State's quarterbacks, either Weatherford or Lee, have dialed the number up to Cody Fadd.
And X just missed that one. He threw that ball inside when he should have left it just a little bit outside. And that'll come. That's a direct reflection of not having game time reps.
Very good point. And for Lee, this is a critical play here especially for Rice in the first half, trying to get a stop, forcing Florida State into a field goal situation, which they do. They get the stop. Booker is able to gain 4. Jonathan Carey, the defensive end, on this tackle. Some grumbling from the Doak faithful, but a field goal puts you up 17-7.
Well, after the start that Florida State has had, Paul, you could score 67 against Rice, and there's still going to be some grumbling.
Gary Sismacia here will attempt a 32-yard try. He's missed only once so far this year in 5 shots, as you see. And perfect inside 40. Away she goes for Gary Sismacia with a thunderous foot. He tucks it inside the upright. And there is that 17-7 start. We can't satisfy everybody, but you take the 54-yard interception return by the up-and-coming Marcus Ball, and you tack this 3 by Sismacia, and Florida State leads by 2 scores here in quarter number 2 in Doak.
At Checkers right.
And KJ must be very proud of his alma mater this afternoon. Filled with Seminole spirit here today in Doak. College football on Sun Sports. Radiant afternoon, 17-7. But give Rice credit here, especially that fine linebacker in Brian Raines, the sophomore from Missouri, Texas. Tom Block, we have talked about him, the talent that he is, the leading solo tackler in all of college football. This nugget in Rice's rebuilding program, almost their cornerstone.
Engineering major too, so how about that one?
A chemical engineering major. So those of us who might be somewhat jaded, KJ, cynical.
Well, let's remember one thing. Rice, first and foremost, is an academic institution.
Yes, I'm with you.
You get there, you can play some complicated schemes.
It is the smallest school in all of Division I, just 2,900 undergraduate students out of 119 schools. Graham Gano kicked us to Quincy, Florida, into the end zone. In Houston, a picturesque campus. Their endowment, Keith Jones, is just under $4 billion.
That would be a B in billion.
B here, but of 119 institutions, they are the smallest. The next smallest is a member of the ACC.
And if they get into trouble, look down at the bottom. Attorney General Gonzalez, he can assist you with any legal matters.
Wake Forest is the next smallest school, Jim Grobe's team. The Attorney General, indeed, of the United States, Mr. Alberto Gonzalez, is a proud alum. That may be a lateral, the way that was thrown into the flat this side. Yes, it is. It's marked as a...
And
let's see.
Dillard very happy that was over his head, because one Florida State defender had zeros dialed in.
I'll tell you, I'm dialed into this Dillard talent here. And Joel Armstrong, a strong start. Now a 4 incompletions. On the day, that was number 4. Line of scrimmage spotted on the 20, so it was ruled an incomplete forward pass. Second down. Play action. Well done. Tucks it, heads to the boundary, and gets out of bounds. Buster makes certain that he heads that way and loses his headgear in the process.
Buster needs to get with Dave Dalagal, the equipment manager, and get a new form of chin strap. We keep seeing that helmet come up. There's Dillard. He's kind of running a little inside-out route. He's covered, and then here comes Buster, and there goes the helmet.
Curious that it was Lawrence Timmons, by the way, Keith, a linebacker on Dillard. Third down and 6. Play action. Trying to get away and cannot. It's Dakota Watson with the takedown. A true freshman who has moved from linebacker to defensive end. And he exploded at the snap of the football. A loss of 8.
South Carolina native, goes 6'2", 225. As you mentioned, he is a linebacker. But because of injuries along the front, they've moved him up to the defensive end position.
A huge play for him. Coach Jody Allen, tutoring him, says he plays a lot like Cameron Wembley used to. Taking off. Snap of the ball. The punt is away by Jared Scruggs toward Chris Davis. Fair catch called for and made on his side of the midfield strike. They'll mark it at the 48-yard line. That's a punt of 35 yards without a return by the senior from Hutto, Texas, in Jared Scruggs. Drew Weatherford, the sophomore, and that Seminole attack back on the field when we return to Doak.
Listen and learn. Internet hotel deals are disappearing everywhere. Everywhere but Priceline, where you can save up to 50% off other leading sites. When you name your own price, you pick your exact neighborhood and star level. Then we find the right hotel for you. The hotel gives us a huge discount, which we pass on to you. Why book a hotel anywhere else? Priceline, more ways to save.
Totally Football on FSN. Your inside source for all pro and college gridiron news. Host Laura Oakman breaks all the stories before anyone else.
It took me a little while to get used to him, and when we did, he made the plays for us.
We'll take you inside the huddle and behind the scenes.
If that's as good as we can play, and so be it.
For all the pigskin action. Totally Football. Tomorrow on FSN.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it. That bang was so bootleg, I had it about. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. Those kicks on the lick must have been spinny.
You may not understand your kids,
Dude, that Breezy's blazing. Dude, she's totally jocking him.
but your kids understand you. Talk to them about drugs. Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Hey, Seminole fans, watch the best plays, the last-second decisions, and then make your call. Watch Sun Sports after every Florida State game for the best postgame coverage. Geico Seminole postgame, immediately following the Seminole game.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is on me.
Oh, thanks. Actually, it's all our birthdays. That's how we all met. Kind of like a birthday club.
Really? Brooke, come on. What are the chances that all of their birthdays are on the same day as mine? Okay.
Grab a friend and a $1 sausage biscuit or sausage McMuffin with egg sandwich, or maybe a juicy double cheeseburger or tasty McChicken sandwich. Open late, many 24 hours.
17-7. Our score. Drew Weatherford working in tandem today with Xavier Lee. It'll be Drew's turn back on the field. Don't miss tailgate overtime. We'll discuss the quarterback issue here. It's presented by Bell South and featuring our panel of experts. Whit Watson is aboard, along with Florida State's William Floyd, Chris Doring of Florida, Steve Walsh, the former Miami Hurricane talent, the quarterback. That is Monday night at 7, only on Sun Sports. Drew Weatherford today, directing Florida State to a couple of scores. Looked crisp at the outset, did the sophomore from the Bay Area. His report card, KJ, is 1 yard shy of 70, 5 of 8.
Of course, 18 interceptions last year was a point of focus in the offseason, and some even believe that maybe Drew's being a little too careful as it relates to his progressions and checkdowns. Just 2 picks through 3+ games in 06, but also no big plays to speak of. Fine line, delicate balance.
New receiver checks in as well, the freshman Preston Parker on first down, and the pitch is to Parker, sweeping the near left side. And he comes across midfield, and with a clap of the hands is to the 47-yard line. They have moved him from flanker to wide receiver here, this Delray Beach first-year player. He does have wheels.
Keep your eyes on number 11, the quarterback, in Mr. Weatherford. Left-hand side of your screen. Not a bad little block there for the QB.
You like that?
That'll get some admiration from your offensive lineman.
Preps in the video room and in the locker room. Antone Smith steps off the edge with Drew in that backfield. He'll take it out of the gun. The counter back this way. Antone Smith looks for daylight, finds it, spins forward. He's inside the 40. That is a first down carry. When he was playing his prep ball, he was going up against the likes out of Pohoki and Belle Glade High School and the like around Okeechobee. That's some of the best high school football in all the country, is it not, Keith?
It certainly is, from the standpoint that you're going to be fast and you're going to have to play tough. There is no finesse down in that part of the state on Friday nights.
Didn't you play with Jesse Hester? Was he in your era of player?
Jesse's going to curse you. He's a little younger than I am.
He was from that area.
Yes,
That's why I
he was.
asked.
Yes, he
Talk
was.
about tough. A long time in the league as well, the NFL. There's a nice grab by Dakota Fagg coming underneath. Across the middle, his first of the day for the junior. Florida State now with over 200 yards of total offense in the first half.
And again, Florida State likes to run these drag routes underneath in hopes that the receiver will make the first person miss. And by that time, you're at the second level, 6, 8, 10 yards past the line of scrimmage, and the opportunity for a big play yards after the catch becomes a factor. Numbers there on Ducote.
It'll be now 15 on the year. You had that catch to the 14 that you see there. Blitz coming by Rice off the edge. It drew right back to Fagg, and he can't hold on. Right at the 31-yard line. Just slip underneath a second time.
There's been one thing, of course there's been many, but one thing in particular that Florida State faithful have been disappointed in. It's the dropped passes by the receivers.
We'll say this to counter it. Drew Weatherford has been much more assertive. His quarterback coach saying, Daryl Dickey, that he was overthinking things. Just see an open receiver, throw the football, react to it. He's done that much more effectively today. Drew out of the gun, blitz coming. He takes a lick, bounces off, stays on his feet, comes back this way. What a hard-nosed football player. To the 36-yard line.
He looked almost like a heavyweight fighter, Paul, that had taken one to the chin and was basically out on his feet there for just a little bit, regains his composure and is able to get back to the line of scrimmage. It's going to come from his right-hand side right here. Stunt inside, and the freshman tight end misses his block. Watch right there, drunk, so to speak, looks Drew, but then regains his composure and is able to pick up some positive yardage.
He is so tough, and his ability to take a shot, we saw it against Clemson last week, and stay on his feet.
How about this?
A 53-yard try. This would be the longest of Gary Sismasia's Seminole career. Oh, he hit it all. He got it all, and it is good. Gary Sismasia from 53. One of the longest kicks ever in Doak. He unloaded on that. A new high for Sismasia. The we, as Chief Osceola, all excited in the end zone. His second field goal of the day.
He hit this a ton. This ball just explodes off of the turf at Doak Campbell, and when he hit it, there was no doubt about it, right down the middle. Watch this thing. Bam! No question. Kind of like how I look off of my first drive of every.
You better have the Big Bertha working. You better have it teed up high. His previous best was a 49. Keith, this is 53 yards off the grass. And
I'm sorry, I've said this to you privately, but every time you look at Sismasia, don't you just want him to say something about a Hemi?
Tom Block, Sebastian Janikowski's 56-yarder, the longest ever. This is the fourth longest field goal ever in this stadium.
Well, and a nice effort by Sismasia, who's having a nice season, Paul, now that he uses that, I'll call it a golf trick, although he didn't call it that new alignment. But, you know, in talking to Gary, he was a star soccer player and loved soccer much more than football coming out of high school. He was recruited by Indiana, some other mid-majors, I guess you'd say, to play soccer, but ended up choosing football. He said it's been an adjustment because he was the leading scorer on the soccer team, the star forward, scored all the times. Sure. He came to FSU, he says, now I'm just the kicker. You know, it's a completely different situation for him. Obviously, though, if he's going to kick for 53 yards, so he'll get some of that, the headlines that he was getting as a leading scorer on the soccer field.
In an election year, he appears as if he's campaigning, shaking all those hands and all the hugs. The only thing missing is kissing babies.
That's the one thing about being a kicker. If you miss it, nobody wants to talk to you. If you make it, everybody wants to get near you because you know they'll be on TV.
I'll be talking about this back home in Bradenton. Bobby Bowden's had wonderful kickers through the years. Derek Schmidt, Sebastian Janikowski and the like. He has a quality young man in Gary Sismacia, who obviously has the respect and admiration of his Seminole teammates.
Sismacia, Paul, reminds me a lot of Bill Capice, who I had a chance to play in all 4 years with. You know, short in stature, kind of squatty, powerful but leg and ability to kick through the ball with explosion. They both do that.
Paul Kennedy, Keith Jones, who played here, wore number 28, and Tom Block, the envy of us all, working the sidelines on a sunny day inside Doak Campbell Stadium. Our producer today, Gary Nicholas, our director, Bill Moore. From all of us, delighted you could join us for Florida State's first ever meeting with Rice. We talk about Sismacia. Graham Gano has a very strong leg, and thus he handles the kickoff chores. And he caught all of that.
Oh, my.
There is not a gale blowing out of the south end zone. It's a fairly consistent wind, but nothing that would aid it that well. I'm pumping the fist. He hit that drive right down the middle of the field. A select number of tickets are still available for Florida State home football games if you'd like to check out this 06 crew this season, including the October 21st showdown with Boston College, which is a monumental game in terms of the ACC title chase. Tickets for all Seminole events can be purchased online, the convenience of the World Wide Web at Seminoles.com, or just call 1-888-FSU-NOLE. About an 11-mile-an-hour breeze out of that south end zone into the face of Joel Armstrong, who on first down has to pull it down and slips down in front of Buster Davis. Buster will get credit for his 4th tackle of the first hit. Say this back about Sismacia too. The offense has stalled twice, KJ. Those 2 Sismacia field goals, the one the crowd kind of grumbled about that made it 17-7, and this one that expands the lead to 20-7, are very important in the scheme of things.
And how many punts have there been on Florida State side?
Yeah, none. Right here to the flat, through the hands, and right behind Jared Dillard. Incomplete. Tom, we see that Lawrence Timmons is running with a wide receiver in Jared Dillard.
Well, and I talked to Buster Davis this week about Lawrence Timmons and Geno Hayes, and he said with no disrespect to Michael Bower and Kendall Pope and also Ernie Sims and A.J. Nicholson, who he played with last year, he thought this was the best tandem of linebackers that he's played around since he's come to Florida State. That's quite a statement.
All 5 of his completions today, and that's a dangerous route in front of the corner, Tony Carter.
And that is great coverage.
All of Armstrong's 5 completions have been hauled in by Dillard. He now has misfired 7 times, and he's missed on his last 5 throws, due in significant measure to the play of Tony Carter, Lawrence Timmons, and the pressure up front against the silver-helmeted Rice Owls.
And Tony Carter's going to get an opportunity to do something that he went to the coaches and asked for, and that is returning punts.
Here comes the kick his way by Jared Scruggs. First time in his career that he has ever fielded a punt. And there he goes. Jets up to the 40, spins, comes across 45, and fights his way up to the midfield stripe. There is a fluorescence in the play of Tony Carter. One of the reasons why Florida State's ambitions of remaining in the AP Top 25 for a 75th consecutive week.
And while it is true and the criticisms are justified that Florida State has not regained the 14 consecutive season dynasty level
of double-digit wins and top 5 finishes.
It's pretty sporty to be amongst that company.
Just ask the University of Miami how this stings the Canes, having dropped out for the first time in 107 weeks. Kaz Porowski, the big tight end, takes a tumble at the 37-yard line. His first catch of the day for the freshman from Lando Lakes, and he gains 11 from number 11.
Just 2 prior catches. He's going to start right here. Weatherford's going to get pressure and is going to have to actually jump throw this ball. Watch him.
Right
up, right to Kaz, who then turns upfield, looks for a block. Not swift of feet, but certainly a big load if you want to try to bring him down.
Might be the biggest tight end in Division I. He stands 6 feet 7 inches tall. That's power forward size. Leonard Hamilton would love to have it. Lorenzo Booker picking his way through the short side of the field. Now, when you run to the short side, there are a lot of helmets that are going to be over there to greet you, KJ.
You've got to find the crease, find the seam, and then you've got to slash into it if you expect to have any positive yardage. And if you do that, particularly to the short side, you usually get open field ahead of you.
How good has today been for Booker? Well, he came in with 60 yards rushing in the first 3 weeks. Today, he's about matched that. And look at that average.
That's where he wants it to be.
They'll give it right back to him. More than 60 yards. A block by Davis on the outside and to the 24-yard line. First down, Knowles. How about Chris Davis, the wide receiver? A little more tenacious on the edge blocking. The team worked on that this week.
Well, another reason why Davis is a little more tenacious is because he fumbled that ball in the first quarter. And you're trying to get some brownie points back.
Offensive coordinator Jeff Bowden, who also coaches the wide receivers, said that he put his team through what he called a rather nasty drill on Tuesday. Wide receivers blocking downfield. What would that be, Keith, and what would the impact be?
Well, that would be hurtful. And you'd be wanting to take it out on someone with another colored jersey come Saturday.
Charlie Graham, freshman tight end, is in there. So blocking on the perimeter can enable what looks to be a 6 or 8 yard gain to suddenly be transformed into a 20, 25-yard pickup if the wide receivers can knock down the second.
And the reason that's so important is we've got Booker and Smith who both have enough speed to, as Billy Sexton likes to say, take it to the house every time they touch the ball.
Right.
And if, as you see updated rushing yardage, Florida State by far their most productive game in the 06 season. When you've got playmakers like that, you want your receivers to at least lock up outside and give them a chance.
Out of an eye set, Drew Weatherford for the end zone has Carr. Touchdown, Greg Carr. His second touchdown reception of the year.
And what you may not have seen on that particular throw is a great move by Carr to get separation. We're used to seeing him work to the jump ball. Watch this move right there. Turns the defensive back completely around, gets separation. That's an easy throw and catch.
Wonderful to see Greg Carr. His reemergence this afternoon. Sismacia, oh, it hit the upright. Never looked good leaving his foot. For Gary Sismacia, only the second time in 2 years that he has missed a chip shot extra point. It never happens.
And welcome to the world of a kicker. 54-yard personal best,
right,
with 5 or 6 yards to spare right down the middle, and then you hit the left upright on a PAT.
Now you have a center and a holder. The holder is Brent Moody. Does he get it down? Looks to be perfect.
He just pulled it.
Well, Tiger does too off the tee sometimes. That is only his second miss as the Seminole kicker in close to 60 tries. And that the elation of the 53, 54-yard field goal counterbalanced now by that look.
That's why all kickers are crazy. You have to be.
That was a blanket statement.
Ask anybody who's played football. All kickers are unusual.
Spoken like a strong safety. You know, they just go over on the practice field over to the far side and just leave them alone. Greg Carr, great to see for a number of reasons. The sophomore from Reddick, last year tied the all-time ACC record for touchdown grabs with 9, has only his second. We're almost to the midway point of the season. Graham Cano kicks it out of the back of the end zone. Here's that touchdown again.
Nice move by Carr. And of course, the reputation of going to the outside and up for the jump ball makes any defensive back a little more leery of working outside. And that time, Brandon King gets caught. Carr comes back inside, gets separation, makes the reception.
We've all been scratching our heads, Tom Block, of where is Greg Carr, but certainly Greg the sophomore may not quite be the same young man that we watched a year ago. And there is a true reason why.
Well, indeed, Paul. I think many are familiar with the tragic story from the offseason as Rice picks up 9 or 10 yards here. His 5-year-old sister, Kayana, passed away earlier this summer, and he wears a tattoo with the number 7701, which was her birth date, and then the number 72106, the day she died in a mobile home fire in Bellevue, along with her stepsister, Destiny Gordon, who was 6. And despite the age difference, Greg was very close to Kiana, and they talked a couple of times per week. And obviously, I think that would be an adjustment for anybody with such a tragic loss, and that's certainly been the case for Carr.
Very understandable. And our sympathies to the Carr family.
Uh-oh.
Flag in. Myron Rolle in his first start, number 3. One of the more highly acclaimed signees that Florida State has had the fortune to bring here to campus in recent years. The freshman from Galloway, New Jersey, may have got his hand on the key.
Well, ESPN said that he was the top high school player in the country last year. Myron Rolle.
Mickey Andrew.
Personal foul. Grasping the face mask, number 10, defense.
And what
15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic
what
first down.
Mickey's complaining about is that was not the flagrant style. That was the 5-yard style.
Rather than being a personal foul.
Should have just been the grass right there.
He let it go.
Turned it around.
And it's on Dillard, of course. That was the man that whose cage he grabbed. If you turn the receiver's head, that's usually the determining point.
It looked worse on the replay than it did in person, that's for sure.
Well, penalty aided. This is the first time in 3 possessions for Rice in this quarter that they are not 3 and out. And inside running here between the tackles for John Wall, the junior from Dallas, Texas. We've seen Quentin Smith earlier, and now Wall trying to take some time off the clock here. Rice had tied this game 7-7. Florida State led at the end of one, 14-7. It's been all Noles in the second quarter on both sides of the line of scrimmage and in the kicking game. On the move, Tommy Henderson. Second down, confusion, and the quarterback pays the price. Sack number 2, and the first today by Geno Hayes.
Well, Hayes decoyed Armstrong on that one. He had lined up on the line of scrimmage, then he backed off about 3 or 4 yards, and then when the ball was snapped with that great speed, he came. Watch him right here. He previously was up on the line. He's backed off there, and then he comes at the snap, closes down quickly, gets some help from the backside, but nowhere for Armstrong to go. McNeil in there to help.
KJ, that's actually the 3rd sack by Geno and the Seminoles today, which equals their total from the first 3 games. So they've doubled up to 6 today. Armstrong, nowhere to go, and well, through the arms of Hayes, who had an opportunity to nail him at the 45. Dakota Watson ran him down from behind. The speed, the burst of Dakota Watson. Not the biggest guy in the world, at 6 feet 2 inches tall.
Timeout.
But he too
Florida
has
State.
a great closing
That's their
speed.
first charge, timeout.
FSU will take the timeout here. They're first with 1:35 remaining in the first half, and Tony Carter somewhat hobbled. Al Suma is the trainer looking at him. Let's check in with Tom Block.
Well, Paul, you've talked a lot about Dakota Watson and the injuries at the defensive end spot. I mean, I think they really like Watson's frame. He had 39 sacks total as a junior and a senior, so it seems a natural to leave him at the defensive end spot. And really, Jody Allen's gotten a whole new set of troops because Everett Brown has moved ahead of DJ Norris this week. They think Brown's got a lot of upside, and a guy who's played a little bit already today, becoming the 12th true freshman to play this year, is Kevin McNeil. He was pretty highly touted coming out of Kingsland, Georgia, but the NCAA clearinghouse flagged his core courses. And Florida State was a little unhappy with the fact that it took 6 weeks to clear him. Here's a guy that should have been in fall camp, should have been in school, but he wasn't because he hadn't been cleared by the clearinghouse. Just got cleared this week, entered school, and they obviously think he's got a lot of upside because they've rushed to get him ready, and he has already played today, Kevin McNeil.
Number 95, Tommy, and how about this for a program at Camden County? 56 consecutive wins.
Give that to me again.
56 consecutive wins.
Camden County High School. That is the Georgia State record, is it not?
I believe it is, yes.
Punt is away by Scruggs, hanging it high and away from Davis. That is his 4th punt of the second quarter. Best effort was of a 48. Did that a couple of times, but playing for field position here is the all-time leading punter in Rice history. It holds their career average of 42 yards. Exceptional kicker. As the start of Chevy Tailgate Saturday, and at the start, be sure to watch Rec Warehouse College Kickoff every week to find out the Rec Warehouse Ultimate Game Room promotion code for that week. Just log on to sunsportstv.com and click onto the banner to enter for a chance to win a weekly prize and ultimately a Rec Warehouse game room. That includes the pool table. They've been platooning today. Xavier Lee is at the helm for FSU, which catches a break. Ruled down on contact as Anton Smith. Not a fumble.
And not talked about, but a nice job by Lee and the offensive staff. Florida State on that change of possession, immediately on the field, immediately over the ball, and as soon as it was marked ready for play, they hiked it with just 3 seconds elapsing off of the running clock.
Officials timeout. The previous play is being reviewed.
We're going to take a look upstairs with our replay officials. In the third quarter, KJ, we're going to visit with Dave Hart, the Director of Athletics at Florida State, and discuss the current political climate as it involves replays, the official review. Your former head coach in Bobby Bowden surprised me when he came out this week and said, you know, he'd rather rescind using television replays to affect judgments made by the officials on the field.
I read that too. I'd like to sit down with Bobby and ask him.
The play was down, the whistle blew, ball is down, second down.
I'm not so sure, Paul, that maybe some of Bobby's comment that was quoted in that particular story was related to his frustration over that reversal in the Clemson ball game. I had not previously heard Bobby come out and say he was not in favor of replay at all. So maybe that was just some of the frustration, as I would be frustrated as well, some of the frustration speaking.
One completion so far today for Xavier Lee. He ran out of time. Flag in, may have holding. Look at that arm strength, though. That goes 50 yards downfield and is pulled out of the sky by Greg Carr. Wouldn't this be a shame if it's brought back?
And it will be.
What a catch and what a throw. He had 2 players draped on him and managed to throw that ball close to 50 yards falling down.
Now, let me mention something. Number one, that is not a pass you want thrown like that. So it does show the great arm strength, but that will go down as a minus in terms of technique.
On the offense, number 75. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. It remains second down.
And secondly, though Carr made the reception, that's not a play you want to draw up and run about 20 times a ball game because you'll end up getting beat. It's nice for the fans. It's nice because they get excited about it. But this is not a play that a conventional coach will tell you want to bank your offense on.
Wow.
Just great athletic ability on both ends of the ball.
A jump ball there. Carr took it away from Brandon King. Back to live action, throwing the slant, and Chris Davis cannot hold on.
Something like basketball right here. Carr using his body to protect the line of flight so that his body is between the ball and the defender, and he comes down with it. And by the way, that last pass that X threw that Davis dropped on the slant, yep, that's what you want your quarterback doing, and that's what X is able to do with that great athletic ability. That prior pass is for show. The one that just got dropped, you could win some ball games running that play.
Lorenzo Booker is in the Seminole backfield in the final minute of this first half, and he has daylight off the right side. He's out across the 40-yard line to the 41. You'll love the numbers that he's been able to amass here in the first half. 3 weeks of frustration. Just couldn't get going. Collected 45 last Saturday night against Clemson here. 90 yards rushing by Booker, KJ, in the first half.
And most of it has been in between the tackles, as you saw right there. I think Lobo ears was hurting a little bit when he was reading the paper and listening to what was being talked about dancing in the hole. And you have not seen that in the latter part of the Clemson ball game or none of this ball game. Booker slashing, much more slashing in his approach.
I'll tell you this, in the second half, something we can all look forward to. If he gains 90 yards in the second half, he'll become only the 11th man in Florida State history to amass 2,000 career rushing yards. That will not be an insignificant moment for FSU historians, football faithful. And 4 carries today by Book have been for over 10 yards. So kudos to the offensive line and the way that he has run the ball. But it might be a day for history today if he hits the 2,000-yard plateau. We have a lot of football still to be played today. There is a fraternity of exceptional running backs, topped by Warwick Dunn of the Atlanta Falcons.
Had the privilege of playing with Key and playing with Mark Lyles. Of course, recently with Leon, who shared time with Lorenzo last year and the year before.
So he needs
great talent on that board.
Keith, I wasn't a math major, but Lorenzo needs just 78 yards for 2,000.
You are correct. You are not a math major. But we will not discuss where your degree did come from.
The Harvard of the South, Virginia Tech, as it was.
Prior to
Mr. Allen?
There was a snap infraction, number 65 offense. 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down.
Now that has been an area of concern up front today, Keith. It's the 4th time that offensive line has been flagged.
Not a lot of yardage, just 5 yards a clip, but certainly the number will be of consideration and concern.
Ready to punt for the first time today. Graham Gano got that leg limbered up. Catch is made at the 18-yard line, and there will not be a yard on this return. Marcus Ball, along with Dakota Watson, two extremely fast and tenacious young freshmen. A punt of 48 yards without a return by Rice's Brandon King.
Well, if I'm King, I'm going over to the sidelines going, hey, guys, they have gunners. Can you kind of maybe put somebody in front of them for me, please?
26-7. Rice has hung in there, KJ, I think today.
Florida State certainly has dominated the second quarter, in particular first half overall. The clock will ride down, and that'll be the end of the first half. FSU with a good offensive performance for the first 30 minutes.
So off goes the Rice Owls to regroup. Todd Graham's troops. Game at the outset within a touchdown of Bobby Bowden, who said coming in his team needed to execute. Apparently they have in all 3 phases, offensively, defensively, and the 53-yard Sismacia field goal underscore the strength of the kicking game. And as you see, there is Tom with Bobby Bowden.
Well, Coach, first of all, it's been a while since the offense has gotten it cranked up from the get-go. Just talk about what you've seen right out of the gate. You were able to get the offense going.
Well, I'd have felt pretty bad if we didn't score some the first half, since we haven't done it all year. You know, I wasn't alarmed about it. It's just the fact that we've been making mistake. And I felt like if we cut out of mistakes, we'd start putting some points up there. And even though we have had a lot of procedure penalties, we're still moving the ball and just need to keep executing.
Can you talk about the plan you obviously had to get Xavier Lee some playing time finally, and then what you've seen out of your number 2 quarterback?
Well, unless we were way behind or in danger, we were going to try to get him in on the 3rd series and let him play. Now, that was predicated on our defense holding them, but they surprised us. They took the first drive in for a touchdown. But we went ahead and went with him. He got a little work in there, and I'm glad to see it.
All right, best of luck in the second half, Bobby.
Thank you, buddy.
Paul, Bobby Bowden, it's been a long time since his team has led at the half. You have to go all the way back to the Duke game last year.
Yeah, you certainly do, and has to be much more pleased with the effort here. 26-7 in the first meeting ever with Rice. The freshman Marcus Ball, a huge return. Florida State in great shape. Our highlights and numbers just ahead.
Thank you.
The first ever meeting between the Rice Owls and the Florida State Seminoles at Bobby Bowden Field here in Doak Campbell Stadium. We're in the capital city of Tallahassee, and a look at the first half numbers. Florida State's vaunted defense up front, especially against the rush. It should improve its lot in life, Keith. The Noles have allowed only 7 rushing yards by the Rice Owls.
And on the other side, 150 yards offensively. 23 rushes, 15 passes. I like the balance and the 38 calls. Florida State with nearly 300 yards total offense, controlling the clock as well as total yards.
148 rushing yards, the most since the Florida State Seminoles faced Duke. That was 9 games ago. Across the field for Todd Graham, who has to remain positive, enthusiastic. This is a team last year that won only 1 game in Ken Hatfield's 14th and final year. He knows what he's up against. UCLA, Texas last week. He has to travel to West Point next Saturday. How does he remain positive? How does he build on what he has been able to accomplish in the first 2 quarters against Bobby Steele?
Well, you take the scoreboard out of the equation. You coach your kids to what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do. You ignore the scoreboard. In like fashion, Coach Bowden has got to protect with his kids against, just throwing it on the field, so to speak, for the last 30 minutes. Things continue to need to be worked on for Florida State if they want to advance in the ACC for the 06 season.
If you're sitting on the west side, our side of the field, you have benefit of the shade. Our good friends on the far side, as they return, getting cooked today. There's the triple receiving trio back there. Here comes Marcus Knox. Well, he had a notion, doesn't come out of the end zone. They'll begin at the 20-yard line. Rice offensively in the first 2 quarters, Tom Block, has enjoyed its moments under the direction of quarterback Joel Armstrong.
Well, and one of the intriguing things they've tried today, Paul, they have an offensive signal that sounds like hike. They yell Heidi, 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 and that's why FSU's defensive front has jumped a couple times. FSU's complained to the officials to no avail, but I guess when you're outmanned, you try whatever you can, Paul, to get an advantage.
That Rice intellectual ingenuity. That would be Cab Calloway with the Heidi, Heidi, ho. Cool. First down, nothing doing on the left side for Quentin Smith. One of the more accomplished running backs in Rice history, and Rice quarterback today by Joel Armstrong, will remind you, recruited as an option quarterback, played his first 2 years there, became a wide receiver, played the first 2 weeks there, moved to quarterback against the none other than the defending national champion Texas Longhorns. He's back here today. However, he has completed only 1 of his last 6 passing attempts. Just 1 of his last 6 with a pick, with an interception by Ball in the second quarter. They got away from this man, Quentin Smith, early in this football game and really never went back to him. That's only his 4th carry of the afternoon. It matches his first half total when he had 2 for -4 yards.
Well, Smith with nearly 200 yards on the ground coming into the ball game, averaging 4.3 per carry. Had already had 3 plays of 48 yards or more.
Right.
Very explosive, but you're right. They've gotten away from him, have not utilized him. 5 wide now, no back.
And Rice has yet to convert on 3rd down today. 0 for 5 and another sack. This is the 4th of the afternoon, the 2nd by Geno Hayes. Been a dearth of sacks this year. Coming into this afternoon, Florida State had all of 3 in 3 games. Today, all over Armstrong. Now 7 on the season. Keith, they're chasing too a pretty tall order in matching last year's number of 44 sacks.
Certainly, you look at that last year's number, you want to get closer to that, and they're working on it.
This is Preston Parker. Although the kick bounds closer to Marcus Ball than to him, he would be the 3rd punt returner with Parker today. And a rather poor effort out of Jared Scruggs. Just a 22-yard kick. We're going to take a timeout. Early in the 3rd quarter, when we return, the athletic director, Dave Hart, joins us.
Score a complete game room for less at Rec Warehouse. Save thousands on complete game room packages. Plus, save big on billiard tables, poker tables, and accessories. You'll find everything you need. Don't just stand on the sidelines. For the largest selection at the guaranteed lowest prices, get into the game room headquarters at Rec Warehouse.
At SunTrust, we see beyond deposits to why you make them. See beyond financial plans to who you're planning for. See beyond a mortgage to where you want to call home. And see beyond a balance sheet to what a growing business needs. It's only by looking beyond the obvious that we get to the better answers people deserve. SunTrust, seeing beyond money.
Score a complete game room for less at Rec Warehouse. Save thousands on complete game room packages. Plus, save big on billiard tables, poker tables, and accessories. You'll find everything you need. Don't just stand on the sidelines. For the largest selection at the guaranteed lowest prices, get into the game room headquarters at Rec Warehouse.
You don't have to throw every big catch back into the water. Just into the washing machine every now and then. Right now, get the classic look of Guy Harvey tees at Bealls. Don't let this one get away. Live the Florida lifestyle. Bells.
Dad, isn't it time you got your own boat?
Finding your next boat is easy with the Boat Shopper. Pick up your free copy and browse through hundreds of photos of boats for sale from dealers and individual owners. With regional editions, buying or selling your boat is easy and convenient. And with a new edition every 2 weeks, the boat selection is always fresh. Look for one of our bright blue outside boxes throughout Florida or find us on the web at boatshopper.com.
Way to go, Dad.
Third quarter at Bobby Bowden Field, Doak Campbell Stadium. Well, it's been a gorgeous afternoon, 26-7, both on the field and the sunshine radiating from above. And the Director of Athletics, Dave Hart, joining us here in our Sun Sports broadcast booth. Dave, welcome aboard. You're the only athletic director in FSU history with the benefit of 8 games being played in one season. Another nice crowd and a gorgeous day for it.
Oh, it's a perfect day for football, and it's always good to be with you and Keith, Paul.
Been a lot of political turmoil this week involving officiating. We have the first ever meeting here between Conference USA Rice and Florida State, and there goes Lorenzo Booker enjoying a great day. But the talk this week has been either, when you have two conferences meeting, to either neutralize the officials, bring them from a third conference, a neutral conference, or nationalize the officiating process, run it through the NCAA. What's your take on that?
Well, we went through this in basketball about 5 years ago, and at that time, Paul, I was very much a proponent of going to a regional/national officiating model rather than, well, they're your officials and these are our officials, and that conversation is being held in the same vein now about college football.
Drew Weatherford looking for Booker, and it's incomplete, and a flag in. We'll have pass interference. Booker, by the way, Coach, has had a terrific day. It's good to see.
It's good to see Lorenzo have this kind of a day.
Coach, also in that vein, there's some talk about the replay official who is up kind of isolated in his own box. Only one person that makes a call on a reversal. And I know publicly you said you might want to see that changed as well.
I was not a big fan of that, Keith, from the outset. I just think you're putting a lot of pressure and a lot of accountability
on the defense,
on one person.
15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
This is, by the way, an Atlanticos conference crew, and the referee is Brad Allen. But to your point.
Well, I just think, again, what has happened, the transition has been very quick. And now you know who the officials are on the field. In our case, our crowd sees the officials. Every crowd sees them. But all of a sudden, people want to know who's that guy up in the box, because he can overrule and make the most critical call in the game that could potentially be the difference in a victory or a defeat. That is a lot of pressure and accountability on one individual.
Now the Noles will stack it up here in the eye, in motion, that dazzling freshman Brandon Warren, and touchdown Joe Surratt. It's become commonplace now, this freshman, his 5th touchdown in 4 weeks, his 2nd today. What a future that those two young men have. You have a BCS bowl on the line so often with an official's call. In fact, Florida State has appeared in a BCS bowl something like 15 of the last 19 seasons. Is it fair to put that responsibility on one individual? Should there be 2, or do you do away with it entirely?
Well, back to Keith's point, when we had the inaugural discussions about instant replay, I was a proponent of going on the field. Let the officials who are handling the game on the field participate in that, not somebody up in the booth. I just think that would be the prudent way to do it. I understand there's some potential financial ramifications that you would have to realize and talk through, but I'd like to see the officials on the field involved in the study of the instant replay, and if they want to overturn it, so be it, but I just think, again, it's pretty difficult for one individual who's not involved in the game to have that much responsibility.
So maybe something a little more akin to the NFL.
I think so, Keith.
Where the referee has the opportunity to view.
Not to the extent that the NFL does it, but certainly we've had one league in college football experiment with that officials on the field, and I just think that would take.
Which league is that, Coach?
I believe it was the Mountain West.
All right.
And they were the first league to have the challenge, which now, of course, we all have the challenge. And I just think that is an evolution and a work in progress, and probably will warrant additional conversation between this season and next.
And David, as we close, Bobby came out apparently, it appeared in the way that his statement was made that he would like to do away with instant replay completely. Now, that's different than what I've known him to say. Is it your take that maybe that was just some frustration as a result of the Clemson reversal?
Was, and I certainly don't see us doing away with it. I think the intent was very basic, very fundamental. Let's get the call right. What is frustrating is, and we've seen instances of that as recently as last week, we're not getting all of those calls right, and when that happens, there's even more focus on that than what we used to say, well, gee, Joe Doe missed the call on the field is one thing, but people wanting to know, who is that guy, and is he a retired official? Where did he come from? Does he know how big of a game this is? You're getting all of those questions about a guy up in a little 10-by-10 box, and I think we just need to continue having conversations about modifying that.
The point is, though, they're trying to get it right. And
they're trying to get it right,
goal.
and I'm all for that, and that's
goal.
why I'm a proponent of instant replay. I was a proponent of the challenge. I think it's great because let's not let a game be decided on a missed call, but we're not home yet. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still we still have too many inaccuracies.
Let's shift gears here rather quickly in the time we have allowed. Gene Upshaw, the head of the National Football League Players Association, their union, made this comment earlier this week. He said he would be a proponent of banning agents from contacting players before their NCAA eligibility has expired. Would you agree with that? And is
Very
that
so.
possible in this society?
I think anyone in my chair would agree with that. That would be a wonderful step forward. I don't know how realistic it is, Paul, but I admire Gene coming out and taking that stance. Agents continue to be a huge issue in intercollegiate athletics. Agents, runners, they're everywhere. It's real. The elephant is in the room, and I think the more we can do to alleviate that contact with these young men while they're still playing college football, the better off the game will be.
I know Florida State once a year has a huge meeting to address just that issue with his kids.
We do, Keith, and Bob Minix instituted, which is now becoming commonplace, but Bob brought it to Florida State 11 years ago, Agent Day, where we do invite the agents in. They register, we know who they are, we allow them to meet with our players, those rising seniors who have NFL potential, their parents come with them. That's the way we should be approaching this, not behind street corners and behind parked cars, and that's what has us all concerned.
Hey, your next home game, of course, you're traveling next week to Raleigh, North Carolina to take on NC State. Your next home game here, going to be a huge night. Boston College comes for the first time in a long time. Bobby Bowden, Charlie Ward will both be honored by the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame, and a new look for the Seminole football team in honoring the Seminole Nation. Clue us in on this.
That entire weekend, Paul and Keith, will be about our opportunity to honor and recognize and express our continued appreciation to the Seminole tribe for the privilege that they've extended us to call ourselves Seminoles. We will unveil statues of a Seminole family. That will be the highlight of the weekend, but we will also, through an effort of Nike, our partner, unveil a special uniform that our players will wear for the Boston College game, also to honor the Seminole tribe.
It's the word is, Coach, I guess it's a poorly kept secret, or the word is out that the predominant color will not be garnet or gold, but rather black.
That's correct. It will be predominantly a black uniform, but it'll be very obvious when and we will show the uniform before the game.
With a Seminole motif, a Native American motif?
Without question, it'll be easy to see that it is in tribute to the Seminole tribe.
You don't have a picture we can take a look at here?
Don't have a photo.
You don't have an extra
I know you're
jersey?
trying to get that scoop look, but
And some of us that are a little older need to understand that the kids enjoy wearing the black, even though we would say, wow, that's not garnet and gold.
Keith, that's an excellent point. And quite honestly, when Nike contacted me back in May, I had reservations for that very reason. But I did sit down, meet with them, meet with their designers, and I knew how much the players would enjoy it, as you well know as a former player. And they're going to love it, and they're excited about it. They've not seen it either yet, but the word is out. No, the players haven't seen it. No one has seen it to this point in time, but they are very excited about that night, and I'm looking forward to that weekend.
We are too, Coach. Here, our 19th year of primetime Noles. We look forward to that night, Coach. Thanks so much, Dave Hart, for being with us.
Always good to be with you all, and thank you again to Sun Sports. You've been just terrific over the years, and you two do a wonderful job in our behalf.
Well, you make it easy.
We've got to get KJ a number 28 in that black motif that says Jones across the back. His old.
Don't go there.
I wanted so bad to go there. Okay, I won't. He knew it. He knew where I was going.
Might have to be a little wider than Booker's. Coach, thanks so much. Dave Hart, the Director of Athletics here at Florida State, hosting the Rice Owls for the first time ever. One of 8 home games. So much to discuss. Player issues with agents, instant replay, video replay systems, and now the new look.
And it really is something that if you're older, you'd say black, what's that got to do with garnet and gold? But the kids today really like to do that, and ball tipped around a couple of different ways there. So it's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah, it sure is. Again, that's in 2 weeks. Only one game in 19 days now, KJ. Good, bad, the impact that's going to have, just that one Thursday night game between the end of this, the final gun, and the kickoff with Boston College.
Good to get nicks and injuries healed. Bad, particularly for Florida State offensively, because they're just now getting into sync.
Preston Parker will be back to field this punt here by Jared Scruggs. One bit of bookkeeping, it was Luke Juiced who squibbed that last punt, and here comes Parker. Parker with a little bit of heart to him, out across the 30, the 31. Mickey Andrews with those open auditions, and Parker becomes the 4th return man today. We've seen Davis, we've seen Carter, we have seen Parker, maybe the 3rd. Am I shortchanging this one? He has run a number of players in there trying to find the right one.
I believe it is 3.
3-yard return after a 39-yard kick. Weatherford and the Knowles came blowing down the field during our interview with Dave, and he's back out there. And in the backfield, in the eye, Cedric Holloway in front of Anton Smith. Our first look at Cedric today, leading the way, and Anton turning the corner and up to the 32-yard line. Of course, on a relief now is Anton Smith of Lorenzo Booker, who has had his best game this year.
Well, certainly this is the type of game and the type of productivity that Lorenzo was looking for as he came back for this, his senior season. Has not been the case the first 3 ball games of the year, but certainly he has rectified, corrected, and gotten back on track here tonight, this afternoon rather.
Great day for Book. Running room as well. Here goes Anton. Anton around the corner, and Anton, one man to beat at the 20-yard line. Anton drugged down from behind by Raines at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal. Chad Price, rather than Raines, got him around the collar. That is a jaunt of 60 yards by Anton Smith, his biggest run as an Old.
And keep your eye on the right-hand side of your screen. Right there to Cody Fagg as he comes in. There's a downfield block. Doesn't look like much, but that's what Jeff Dowden was talking about with Smith and Booker. If you can just shield somebody, get somebody out of the way, make them misdirect, once these tailbacks get to the 2nd level, get 10, 12 yards past the line of scrimmage, they have the breakaway speed as Smith showed there. Doesn't look like much, but Cody Fagg did an outstanding job on that.
And the pitch to Booker, trying to get him into the end zone, and there he goes! Touchdown, Lorenzo Booker. The score swells. Booker into the paint of the end zone. And his huge afternoon continues. His first TD of the day. You could not have scripted this any better for him. 117 yards and the score as you set the stage for back-to-back Atlantic Coast Conference outings against NC State and Raleigh and the Eagles of Boston College here. Sismacia nails this one. All according to plan. A salute to Booker. He finds the end zone for the first time this season, closing in on 2,000 career rushing yards for the senior from Oxnard, California.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is on me.
Oh, thanks. Actually, it's all our birthdays. That's how we all met. Kind of like a birthday club.
Really? Brooke, come on. What are the chances that all of their birthdays are on the same day as mine?
Okay. Grab a friend and a $1 sausage biscuit or sausage McMuffin with egg sandwich, or maybe a juicy double cheeseburger or tasty McChicken sandwich. Open late, many 24 hours.
Heat fans, get ready to relive the first NBA championship in team history. From overtime heroics to late game surges, we replay every minute of every game. Watch White Hot Heat Week on Sun Sports. Coverage begins October 1st.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The toughest trucks. You won't believe it. And the toughest drivers.
Here we go.
Bumping, beating, and banging.
Unbelievable ride.
Hard and fast across the USA.
Look at this action up front.
It's a hard-pounding, paint-trading, edge-of-your-seat thrill ride. All season long, only on Speed.
Go, 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 go. From start to finish, it's unexplainable what it can do to you. Wait, bam.
It doesn't get much better than that.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
The bumping and banging continues.
On Speed.
It's game day. Gear up with the best college football preview show in the state. Sun Sports and Rec Warehouse look inside the matchups, inside the numbers, and get you ready for all the action. Watch Rec Warehouse College Kickoff only on Sun Sports.
Hey Seminole fans, it's that time of year again, but Bill's Bookstore isn't just for game day. Bill's has great Seminole fashions and gifts for every day.
Bill's Bookstore. Not just any old bookstore. What a Seminole looks for. Bill's Bookstore.
Bill's Bookstore, for game day, for every day.
Seminoles.
Order online anytime at billsbookstore.com, or for a free catalog, call 800-476-1FSU.
College football on Sun Sports is brought to you in part by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. And by K&G Superstores, for men, for less. Booker and Weatherford. What a duo this afternoon. Booker's running, Weatherford's passing, and here Booker caps that last possession, his first TD of the day.
And again, we've said this several times, but one of the things Billy Sexton wants his tailbacks to do is make the first guy miss. Well, there he does. And that's what allows Lorenzo to get into the end zone. His updated career yardage as he closes in, just 50 yards away from that coveted 2,000, and then closing in on Leon and amply ahead.
And so Booker with 117 yards rushing and a pleasant moment with Drew. By the way, Antone Smith, Drew's classmate, has also cracked triple digits. He's rushed for 107 yards today, KJ. So not only is the ground game exploded, it's come out in pairs.
Well, coming into the ball game, Rice giving up 234 yards on the ground per contest. Florida State unofficially 242. So at least those two statistics are matching up.
You have to go back to the bowl game that was played the first day of 2005 against West Virginia to find the last time that two Seminoles rushed for more than 100 yards. Coming out of his own end zone, Chris Douglas. And flags come from all directions. The Seminoles shaken up at the 12-yard line, and that's Marcus Bull.
That was a flagrant illegal block on Ball.
Randy Orovitz, Florida State's trainer, the first man to arrive. And when he went down, the flags came out. And concern now for the young freshman linebacker.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 34, the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. It will be 1st and 10. The game clock will start on the ready for play. Timeout for an injured player.
That would be Terrence Garman, who is singled out, number 34.
Keep your eye right there. Watch him come in from behind. There's no question about the illegalness of this block. He did pull off of it, not as flagrant as it first appeared in real time.
And he may have injured his knee with that plant prior to the contact.
I thought it was as a result of the hit. It appeared to be because of the plant. I was fixing to jump all over Terrence Garman, but it appeared that he pulled off enough, but it looked like that plant leg gave out underneath Ball.
My reaction to that expression by Terrence is no one feels worse from his sideline than he does, believing he may have contributed to this. But on second review from our cameras here today, it appeared that Marcus, in changing direction, Keith, and putting so much torque on that leg, may have been injured when he cut.
We saw the same thing happen to Paul Griffin a couple of ball games a while back. And again, as you watch, it looks like Yemen pulls off of him. Right there, the knee buckles. It is an illegal block in the back because he gave him just a little bit of a shove with that right arm, but I don't think that contributed to the injury as we first thought when we looked at it in real time as the play was going on.
And so what has been, for the most part, a very festive afternoon here in Tallahassee, suddenly very quiet in Doak Campbell Stadium. 8:30 to go in the third. Concern for Marcus Bohl.
It's back. The Chevy Model Year End event. We're moving out the last of the 06 Chevy models. So make your move. They're going fast. More Americans choose Chevy. Claim yours before they're gone.
See your Southern Chevy dealers.
Take your taste to a different place. Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads.
Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads for the September Lobster Dinner Special. Get a whole lobster dinner for just $12.99. But hurry, because this offer is only good on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays through the month of September. So bring the whole family and enjoy. Dixie Crossroads in Titusville or in Festival Bay in Orlando.
Take your taste to a different place. Take your taste to Dixie Crossroads. I am so into you. I can't think of nothing else. I am so into you.
Roger, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Texas Pete hot sauce. It's the bottle with the cowboy. Also try Texas Pete Buffalo wing sauce.
Bill Curry Ford is helping keep America strong by leading the way with the highest quality Ford cars and trucks on the road today. For 45 years and counting, Bill Curry Ford has led the way in Tampa Bay with a huge inventory, including the exact model you're looking for. If you don't find it here, it doesn't exist. Large on-the-windshield pricing streamlines your buying experience and puts you in the car or truck you want in 1 hour or less. So buy American and keep America strong at Bill Curry Ford. Bill Curry Ford, just 1 mile north of Raymond James Stadium, Tampa.
Marcus Bohl off on the cart. Al Suma, the trainer, with him. Concern for his left knee. That's the apparent injury. 40-7 here. We are back to live action following the illegal contact from behind on Terrence Garman. The ball is spotted at the 7-yard line. Armstrong on the option, pitches to Quentin Smith, and Smith is able to gain 8 yards out across the 15 to the 17.
Again, going back to the ball injury in real time as we got another flag down. So be holding against the Owls. It looked like the illegal contact had contributed to the injury or caused the injury. Such is not the case. And if there's any good news, it's the fact that they didn't take Marcus into the locker room.
Offense number 73, half the distance to the goal from the previous spot. It remains first down.
Though they brought out the cart, they actually took him back to behind the bench, which that little indication, hopefully, is indicative of the fact maybe it's not as serious as one would fear.
Austin Wilkinson, the sophomore center for Rice, their 5th penalty, but it is here the 4th of the second half. Bud Thacker has checked in for Florida State. Number 72, our first look at Big Bud, a freshman from Sanford, Florida. We're going to see young new faces, I would believe, the rest of the way, Keith, coming in for the first time. And did he get out of his own end zone? How close was that? Nefi Moffitt started his motor. And the contact was made right inside the 1-yard line. There is Nefi Moffitt.
Second tackle for a loss for Nefi. 6'1", 240 pounds, maybe a little more than that. He's going to come from right there. Sheds his block, gets right into the backfield, very nearly records a safety.
Timeout. Rice. That's their first charge timeout of the second half.
In this situation for Rice, undermanned, young, Todd Graham building, it's clear that Rice is wilting right now. They've committed penalty mistakes. going in reverse. Coach Graham is elected to call timeout, gather his team around them. They're on the doorstep of surrendering a touchdown, or a safety rather, or worse, in their own end zone.
And one of the things you have to protect against in a situation like this is not losing your team. I mean, Rice, heavy underdogs coming in. Certainly this is a game that's being played by the Rice athletic folk for the guarantee that Florida State can pay them to help rebuild and get started on retracking their program. But you don't want to lose your kids in the middle of the ball game.
Just be positive. Speaking of getting paid, Tom Block is with the man whose pay stub, well, I'd envy that. It's Antonio Cromartie, Tommy.
He did all right with his one career start and then cashed it in as a first-round draft pick. Crow, welcome back to Florida State, first of all, and your rookie season with the Chargers. What do you find is the biggest difference right now between playing pro ball and playing here at FSU?
Man, to tell the truth, that's really no biggest difference. The biggest thing they said that was going to be was the speed, but speed's not a big difference. I would say it was going in and watching film. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you got to watch film a whole lot more, and you got a lot of time to yourself, so you got to manage your time of what you want to do during the day, because we're done at 5 o'clock.
All right, we'll watch this play, Crow, and then I'll come back with another question, Paul.
Armstrong backed up. He's standing in his own end zone, Tommy. On second down. Trying to throw in the flat. That's a lateral. And able to get out to the 1-yard line, but the ball comes out. And Florida State trying to pounce on it, just ravaging Jared Dillard.
Crow, excuse me, Paul, I'm sorry. Crow, what do you miss most about Florida State? Is the camaraderie the same at the pro level, or maybe not quite the same?
I say it's the same, but I mean, at the pro level, I mean, everybody has families. Everybody got wife and kids back at home. So, I mean, a lot of guys don't hang out or do anything like that. But I mean, the biggest thing I miss here is just having fun, you know, just being around the team and being able just to have fun and do the thing that you want to do in college football.
All right, well, it's great to see you back. Best of luck with the Chargers.
Thank you.
All right, Antonio Cromartie, PK.
We're in the lightning bolt of the Chargers. It's third down. Armstrong, backpedaling. Heat coming, throwing on the run, and he shoots it incomplete.
Now, if that's ruled grounding, that's an automatic safety, but of course Armstrong was outside of the tackle box. The ball did go across the line of scrimmage, so no grounding will be called.
To be honest with you, KJ, and you see the third down situation here, Rice appears somewhat spent late in the third quarter. Certainly the way their offensive line, Florida State coming at them in waves, the way their offensive line has been worn down, and perhaps Joel Armstrong too.
Not terribly wild, 90 degrees, 88 to 90 degrees, but the humidity has been up the last couple of days. And that might have a factor, no question.
Jared Scruggs, best effort today, 48 yards. Fair catch called for by Patrick Robinson. He allows the ball to bound.
And he does become the number 4.
There, we got
punt returner.
You know, it's fortunate, Keith, 4 years at college, and we can now count to 4. I'm very proud of us there.
Don't put me in that category.
4 separate return men here. Great day offensively for the ground game. And here you go. 117 out of Booker. Antone goes 107.
Of course, the other guy that's over here is Mr. Surratt, because he's got 2 touchdowns.
Joe Surratt has already scored more touchdowns and carried the ball more times by himself. Xavier Lee pitches to Antone Smith, who's met at the line of scrimmage. Back to Surratt for a moment. More touchdowns, KJ, and carried the ball more times in 4 weeks than last year's combo of B.J. Dean and James Coleman totaled together.
And we still haven't seen Dunham and, of course, Cedric Holloway, who back up Joe Surratt. We haven't seen them get into the end zone as well.
Never seen a back at FSU. Recent years go over 2,000 yards rushing. You may see that here today.
Pass.
Not going to throw with those gloves on. He bobbled the ball and now comes back to the line of scrimmage. He was looking to throw to Xavier Lee, who had pitched him the ball.
Well, everybody's been talking about how do we find ways to get X involved in the offense. Well, there's one attempt at it. Pitch to Booker. He's going to set up and whoop.
Are you, in running that play, giving Chuck Amata and NC State another area of concern?
No.
Another thing to work on?
No, you're just working on some things in case you absolutely positively need it on down the road.
Or just having fun?
Well, that too. you're up 40-7. You can afford to do that.
Look at all the time he has to throw, and then fires high, incomplete, in the direction of Damon McDaniel, the freshman from Virginia Beach. Lansdowne High School, one of those 12 freshmen that have played so far this year. Off he comes. Percy Harvin of Florida has enjoyed a great start in his Gator career. He and McDaniel were high school teammates at Lansdowne in Virginia Beach. Must have been quite a high school offense there. Some beach music out of those two. Harvin, an electrifying player that will be in this stadium at the end of the year. And now for FSU, John McKnight to punt. Not J.R. Bryant, but duplicated uniforms. The first kick here of McKnight's career. Fair catch called for, made at the 11-yard line. He'll belong to Florida State. As Rice's Evan Fentress takes it down. A 37-yard kick by McKnight. Florida State men's basketball season tickets now on sale. The Noles have exciting home games against the defending NCAA champions. Speaking of the Gators, Billy Donovan's Florida Ball Club, Georgia Tech, Boston College, so many more. Log on to Seminoles.com to purchase your tickets today. Keith Jones, you broadcast Leonard Hamilton's basketball team.
That I do. October 15th, I believe, the official start of practice. And second week in November, things tip off.
Whistle blows, flag thrown prior to the snap of the ball. The play clock still had ample time showing at 10. It's been a busy day for Brad Allen and this ACC crew.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 73. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Back to our point about the offensive line wearing down. Austin Wilkinson has seen Alex Boston, Andre Fluellen, Everett Brown, Darrell Burston. Long day in the Florida sunshine today.
And the good thing about a score of this nature is you have the opportunity to play your younger people without the game being in doubt and the pressure that's associated with that.
Well, now he can say hello to Bud Thacker. That's a lateral in the flat to Dillard. Dillard works his way out to the 12-yard line. Buster Davis, his 7th stop. Buster sideline to sideline, and at the end of the third quarter, he may well come out of this game. He's headed now to the sideline with 3.5 to go in quarter number 3. But his presence has been felt throughout the day.
He has lived up to the billing of 2006 and then some, has Buster Davis.
Second down, needing 10. Armstrong, the junior from Longview, Texas, starts down the line. No man to pitch it to. And he's out of bounds at the 11-yard line. At the snap of the ball, linebacker Lawrence Timmons took off for Quentin Smith and totally took out the option for Joel Armstrong.
And there are certain calls when you ask your players to do that. Sometimes you want them to come up to the line of scrimmage and skate, what they call skate outside, and keep leverage. Other times you want them to go ahead and take all the options, or at least one of the option, away. Timmons all over the ball carrier, would-be pitchman, if you will, that time.
Look at the nose tackle for Florida State in Thacker. Look how big he is. The snap of the ball, here he comes. Throwing over the middle, that's incomplete. Through the hands of Andrew Novak, another freshman. Rice has played 11 so far this season, Keith. And Fentrick, or rather Novak here, is one of them in the 4 wide. Off goes Buster. They have done their job. First downs have become nearly an impossibility for the Owls in the second half. To punt again, Jared Scruggs. This will be his 7th punt and the 8th overall for Rice. Toward Patrick Robinson. He calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 48-yard line. You may have seen Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, having a word or two for Robinson. Previous opportunity for him. Catch the ball first, Keith. Your return kicks, catch it first is most important.
And don't let it hit the ground. Catch it wherever it is, because that accomplishes 2 things. Number 1, it doesn't allow it to gain more yardage, and number 2, it doesn't allow it to hit one of the players who may not be looking for it.
37-yard punt, Well done by Robinson. And now all eyes on Lorenzo Booker. He is the tailback in the eye. Keith, he needs 52 yards. 52 to reach 2,000. Play action, though. Throwing for Chris Davis, and it's off the fingertips of the corner in Brandon King, number 15.
And again, I'd illustrate to you the great talent of Xavier Lee. Strong arm, quick feet, but that was a terribly thrown football. If he'd have thrown that ball to the middle of the field, Davis would have caught it for a touchdown.
He is leading his intended target in Davis. Is Lee. Have we pointed out the fact that he returns from shoulder surgery in the offseason that cost him the benefit of spring practice?
And that's what his issue is. He just hasn't had the time, both in elapsed time and number of snaps, to get tuned in.
It will take some time. He's going back upstairs
nice
today.
Throw.
And drop. In and out of the hands of Richard Goodman. Right between the 8 and the 5. The Fort Lauderdale sophomore.
Great throw on a couple of series prior by Lee that was dropped by Davis on a slant. That time Goodman drops the out. This is a nice delivery. Step and throw right where it needs to be. And boop.
And in somewhat of a defense of the offensive staff at the moment, you're saying they're leading as Florida State 40-7 here. The purpose of the passes are to gather experience and timing for Xavier Lee. That's why they're throwing the ball.
It's not Florida State's job to keep from scoring. It's Rice's to keep from Florida State from scoring.
And Lee cannot keep from being taken down. A sack inside by, looks to be Gordon there inside, along with Victor Brooks, defensive tackle. And off will go Lee. So not a good series offensively late in the third. Not crisp. Lee misfiring once, Goodman dropping another, and then he's sacked on third down. And the kicking unit will come on. McKnight for a second time. How many double numbers do we have on this football team? A few. Gino Hayes and a backup quarterback, Jared Ripke, both wear number 10. And here McKnight wearing 18, along with J.R. Bryant, who is a corner. He drops this, picks it up, kicks it. It's partially blocked.
Catch it and run, or catch it and fall down.
And it is caught by Florida State's Pat Davis, a reserve running back. So a freaky play there for FSU. He dropped it, picked it up. There's Graham Gano. Also a punter, too, could be using. You don't get in the game, and then this happens. Comes right back at you.
And that's all on McKnight, no question. Does try to get it away. It's tipped right there. Fielded.
You feel for him, playing time so precious when you're behind, say, Graham Gano. By the way, this note in, we showed you earlier today in the first half, Tony Carter, the corner for Florida State, shaken up, hobbling off the field. That's batted away by Nefi Moffitt. Well, Carter's out the rest of the way, KJ, with an injured left knee.
And if that is of any serious nature, that is a huge blow to this Florida State defense, because though you don't see very many tackles, deflections, or interceptions with Tony Carter, it's because teams know how good he is. They've stayed away from him. Moffitt with his second pass deflection here in the second half.
Now, Nefi Moffitt, the coaches have said, if we could just intensify his approach to this game, really get him going 100%. Ball is out. And a fight for it. And after the Clemson game last week, and they point toward Florida State, we'll just wait till the call is official. Florida State appears to have forced Quentin Smith to cough it up, and Rodney Gallen at the bottom of the pile for Mickey Andrews' defense. The sophomore from right here in Tallahassee. Moving up the depth chart. Injuries to the linebacking core. Jay Thaxton unavailable today with a concussion. And the ball at the moment is ruled to be in the possession of Florida State. Second turnover committed by Rice. Xavier Lee back in at quarterback. And Antone Smith behind him. A little swing to Antone, and that's not sharp. Just led him too far. And that's the finesse aspect of this game that only comes through repetition.
And again, those that are screaming and hollering and clamoring for Xavier Lee, this is why you don't play him in tight situations. He has got to get to the point where he can execute those types of throws, the throw long down the field we saw earlier. And he'll work on it. He'll get it straight, but it will take time.
He's failed to connect in his last 6 attempts. Through a 28-yard completion in his first pass play. Whistles here to stop the clock with 35 seconds to go in the third. But 6 in a row incomplete.
Prior to the snap, there was an inadvertent whistle. We will replay the down.
That'll give Florida State an opportunity to change its offensive package. Jocelyn Shaw is on for the tight end Kaz Porowski. So a speedy receiver in the place of the tight end. And there is Jocelyn. Voted the most improved player among the receivers in spring practice. Blitz coming on the backside, so he goes the other way and to midfield. Carr's forward progress is the midfield stripe for Greg Carrs. Had a terrific day, a gain of 6.
Nice throw by Lee on that one.
It's just another thing that Chuck Kamada, our good friend, has to worry about, Keith. 10 days away, 11 days away in Raleigh. How big would a victory over Florida State be for the embattled head coach of the Wolfpack? And it will be for Primetime Knowles, our first telecast from that stadium.
I think Chuck would take any win over anybody.
Beat anybody, as Bobby Bowden said when he first got here. What would the bumper stickers say?
Just win.
Beat anyone.
Beat anyone.
This will be for Bobby his 362nd win. And the score should stand. Greg Carr and company. Cue the band. Head to the fourth quarter. It is 40-7. FSU leading Rice. And now can Lorenzo Booker get his 2,000 career yards into the Knowles score again? And what new faces do we enjoy introducing you to when we return on Primetime Knowles to Bobby Bowden Field and Oak here in Tallahassee.
Welcome back to Doak Campbell Stadium. Florida State in control 40-7 over Rice as we bring you back to Bobby Bowden Field. Paul Kennedy and Keith Jones upstairs. I am Tom Block down on the field with you. Florida State has played 2 quarterbacks and played a lot of players today. We have seen Xavier Lee get his feet wet a little bit more. Drew Weatherford, who's been under the question somewhat for his play this year. Well, the first team offense led by Drew Weatherford has 5 scores out of 6 possessions. Take a look at what Weatherford has done hooking up with Greg Carr. He's 8 for 12, 102 yards and a touchdown as he goes to Cody Fagg right there. And here is the touchdown up top, the Greg Carr. But again, 4 touchdown drives, 1 field goal out of 6 opportunities for Drew Weatherford in the first team offense. You add it all up, Florida State with a 40-7 lead. And he has not been told officially, Paul, that he has finished for today, but I would suspect that his work is probably done. I've seen Tommy Keene limbering up a little bit to get set for fourth quarter action. Paul?
Tommy, as we open the fourth, Xavier Lee, as if on cue, limbers up and throws a strike to Greg Carr for a gain of 14 on the slant.
Nice throw, nice catch by Carr. Again, known for fade routes and jump balls, but Carr very effective on his slants and his post patterns when Florida State quarterbacks can find him.
That's 4 receptions for Carr today. And the touchdown pass from Drew Weatherford. And the Knowles inside the 40-yard line against beleaguered Rice. They pitch it inside. Antone, or check that, it's not Antone Smith inside.
Brandon
Warren running inside. A little wrinkle to the offense as he comes off the edge. Back inside, and some frustration. He didn't break that for bigger yards.
Looked very comfortable catching that ball behind the line of scrimmage and motoring upfield, did he not?
As athletic a tight end as you have had here in a generation in Brandon Warren?
I think so. And with Porowski's size and Charlie Graham's hands, Florida State with 3 very talented, very young players at that position.
You can move him around. You see him shifting there and then hitting it up inside Antone to the 25-yard line. But Brandon Warren, we've seen him line up wide, line up in the backfield as a lead blocker, carry the ball. A year ago, Matt Hinshaw, as a senior, caught 21 passes. Well, that's a figure Brandon Warren may shatter in the next 2 weeks the way he's going, and the ability of this trio of freshman tight ends to go vertical down the field.
Another and added dimension. 3 catches, 12.3 yard average. That brings the total to 10 on the year for the true freshman out of Tennessee.
Matt Dunham in motion. And Anton, how quick is he? Look at the quick feet. Dance for us. Dance for us. Touchdown.
And a block downfield by Carr.
Touchdown for a second time, Anton Smith. Wide receiver leading the interference. What feet, Keith?
There's no questioning his quickness. There's no questioning his speed.
25 yards, touchdown.
And as he breaks past the point of attack right here, he'll go outside. Now keep your eye on number 89, Carr, with a great block downfield. See, you don't have to knock him down. You just have to shield him. And that, with the talent of Smith and Booker, is enough to get pay dirt.
Gary Sismacia adds the extra point. Had missed one earlier, and the score swells. Florida State's biggest number of the year. 47-7. And again, Anton Smith doing all the dancing in the September sunshine and in the end zone for a second time today.
It's your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, yours is on me.
Oh, thanks. Actually, it's all our birthdays. That's how we all met. Kind of like a birthday club.
Really? Brooke, come on. What are the chances that all of their birthdays are on the same day as mine? Okay.
Grab a friend and a $1 sausage biscuit or sausage McMuffin with egg sandwich, or maybe a juicy double cheeseburger or tasty McChicken sandwich. Open late, many 24 hours.
Totally Football on FSN. Your inside source for all pro and college gridiron news. Host Laura Oakman breaks all the stories before anyone else.
It took me a little while to get used to him, and when we did, he made the plays for us.
We'll take you inside the huddle and behind the scenes.
If that's as good as we can play, so be it.
For all the big skin action. Totally Football. Tomorrow on FSN.
Oh, I know. Well, tell me about it. That bang was so bootleg, I had it about. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. Those kicks are the lick. Must have been spinny.
You may not understand your kids.
Dude, that Breezy's blazing. She's totally jocking him.
But your kids understand you. Talk to them about drugs. Need help? Get help. Visit our website at drugfree.org.
Fun and games this afternoon. 40 unanswered points by Florida State's offense after this game was tied 7-all, and that includes a pair of touchdowns by Anton Smith, the sophomore from Pahokee. First ever meeting between the ACC member Seminoles and from Conference USA, the Rice Owls. And if you look at this league in its 2 divisions of 6 teams each, you see Rice, a member of the West. Keith, as Coach Graham rebuilds this program, there are very winnable games in the not too distant future for Rice, playing at a level of competition that should afford Rice success.
Well, and certainly the track record for Todd Graham is such that he comes in and he's a defensive guy by nature. His defenses at Tulsa and when he was with Rodriguez at West Virginia just got better and better. He's a hard-nosed kind of coach. He's brought in this spread offense that is a little more adaptable to personnel and bringing in some key people at the wideouts that can help you immediately. And more than anything else, Paul, he's just come in and embraced the Rice program. He raised over $6 million over the summer, instituted and put in some new systems that you would never see about on the field relative to scouting and their ability to prepare game plans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It'll remind you a whole lot of what Bobby Bowden had to do when he came in here in 1976 to build this Florida State program.
Graham Gano ready to kick it away. Next week, they have to go to the banks of the Hudson. And one of those lovely spots in all of college football. Rice remains on the road. They'll take on the Black Knights of the Hudson, the cadets from West Point. And Bobby Ross, at one time a Rice assistant. Big return here by Marcus Knox out across the 30 to the 37-yard line. And Tom Block, down on the sideline, has a Hall of Fame guest.
A familiar face, Paul, but you might not recognize him because he's out of uniform for what he says is the first game ever. This is Billy Smith, of course, the trooper who has been by Bobby Bowden's side for 31 years now. A member of the class of 2006 Hall of Fame as the Moorstone Award winner. Congratulations, and tell me what kind of an honor that is for you.
Well, to me, it's the highest honor I've ever had paid to me by Florida State University, and quite humbling.
Coach Bowden says that you're one of his closest confidants. 31 years escorting the winningest coach in college football. What can you share about your relationship with Coach Bowden?
He's my buddy. He's my friend. He's my cohort. My buddy.
You have been a part of the Florida State football program even longer than that. It actually dates back 43 years. And we referenced Bill Peterson earlier in this broadcast because he left Florida State to go to Rice. He's actually the head coach that approached you and said, I need you to escort me off the field. And at that time, nobody was doing that. What was your reaction when he asked you that question?
Well, he asked me, what do you do? I told him, I said, he said, well, how about going to work for me and make me look good and turn the red light on so I blow that siren for me and look after security? I said, Coach, we don't do such thing. He said, what do you do? I said, work wrecks, put people in jail. He said, well, who do you work for? I said, I guess the governor when you really get down to it. He said, well, where does he work at? I said, well, he has an office up in the Capitol, and they meet every Tuesday morning to discuss state business. And to make it very brief, I forgot all about the conversation, and my boss called me the next Tuesday afternoon and said, well, you got your new job. Yeah.
Well, with a pay of zero.
Absolutely, and they just keep increasing every year, so I'm doing fine.
It's been doubled every year since. You know, you've worked with not just Bill Peterson, but 4 coaches in Larry Jones and Darryl Mudra. You've seen the winless season at Florida State. You've seen the undefeated season at Florida State. You know, when you think back to when you first started with Bill Peterson and you look at what surrounds you right now, what goes through your mind?
It's, you just can't believe the change that has happened here in that 30 or 40 years. But Coach Bill Peterson, I'm going to give him full credit. He brought big-time football to Florida State University. He had Bobby Bowden on his staff. He had Bill Parcells. He had Joe Gibbs. He had Dan Henning, 3 of the NFL coaches. Great staff, and it started from there, and here we are.
Well, congratulations again on your honor. And, Paul, I should point out the reason he's out of uniform today, the class of '67 is actually visiting in town this weekend, and they've been up in the president's box. So rest well-deserved. I think this guy's missed, what, 6 games in 43 years?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we'll let him miss a 7th today to see some of the former Florida State players. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Paul.
Goes without saying, a wonderful human being, Major Billy Smith. And as Bobby Bowden said, they asked Bobby Bowden in Steve Ellis's book, Pure Gold, the people in this world that he admired most, and the 3 that he had, he said his father was 1. Am I right?
Correct.
Coach Bowden we're talking about here.
Billy Graham.
The Reverend Billy Graham was 2, and the 3rd?
Billy Smith.
Billy Smith.
And 2 things. Number 1, if you hadn't gotten Ellis's book, you need to get that, Pure Gold. And number 2, when they say Southern Gentleman, Billy Smith's picture is right beside that definition.
Wonderful compliment. 4th down, trying to hold on to the football. Armstrong pitches. Quentin Smith has the first down. I believe that's the first down of the second half for the Rice Owls in those silver helmets. By the way, when Coach Pete went to Rice in '71, he put them in the silver helmets. They've been wearing traditionally blue. He dressed them up like the Dallas Cowboys. You can see the similarity in the color scheme. And that lasted about
till '89.
Yeah, till '89, and they went back to blue for a while. In fact, had a Philadelphia Eagles look coming out of blue with silver wings until this year. And Coach Graham raised the $6 million. And I guess if you raise $6 million, you can suggest how the helmet should look, which he did. I wish Todd Graham well in this endeavor. He has a huge turnaround on his hands. I mean, Keith, a program that has but what, 1 winning season in the last 30 years.
He's got several things working against him, not the least of which is Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, UTEP, etc. And number 2, the very rigorous academic standards that you have to meet just to get into and stay eligible at Rice.
Armstrong with a lot of heart pitches to Smith, drugged down at the 20-yard line. If you take a look at the road ahead for Rice, And again, they're back to like Coach Bowden here, just beat anybody. Only one home game, Keith, before Thanksgiving. Only one.
Check that out. My lines are not as sharp as they usually are.
They will play in the Superdome in 2 weeks. Very emotional occasion. In fact, last year their one and only win came against the Tulane Green Wave when Tulane was forced to play due to Hurricane Katrina every single game on the road. And movement on the right side. The tackle rocked. That'll cost him 5.
Such is the life of offensive linemen. That's big Luke Barber.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
You never get mentioned until you mess up.
Just his third start for the 6'7", 300-pound junior. One of the better players for Rice up front. But in terms of a turnaround, put this into some perspective. The best I've seen as of late. An impossible situation lifted back into competitive play. Doug Graber, when he was the head coach at Rutgers, did a great job. Now Greg Schiano has gone up to Rutgers and taken it from the depths of winless seasons of 1-10. That might be the best turnaround job currently going.
Not impossible, but very, very difficult.
And that's the high mountain these guys have to climb. That was gunned to the 7-yard line if the ball is caught in the sunshine by Jared Dillard. He would look very good, Keith, from this perspective in a Seminole jersey.
He would fit in nicely.
That's a gain of 19, isn't he? Just his high school. And he was honored as the valedictorian there. Academic excellence in San Antonio, Texas.
Senior class president, I believe.
An all-around outstanding young student athlete.
Their first charge timeout.
And today has really been a major part of the offense. 7 catches, 113 yards for him. The 8th time in his career that he's had a 100-yard receiving day, and it comes at the expense of Florida State's fine defense.
And 6th consecutive game in which he's called a touchdown pass. It was a Conference USA all-freshman member last year.
I'm still scratching my head at the outset of the game today. He's running free, and Florida State's trying to adjust. Roger Williams trying to run him down. He went into the end zone, a perfect touchdown strike, 32 yards out from Armstrong, and this game was tied late in the first quarter, 7-7. In fact, that was their initial possession. They went flying right down the field and stung FSU for a score. They did that against Florida State's #1 defense, which has lost the services of their fine corner, Tony Carter. Tommy, what's the latest with Tony?
Well, Paul, I don't think it's anything to get too concerned about. He's been in street clothes the whole second half. It happened on his punt return earlier. Somebody banged into his knee. I asked Tony how he's doing. He said it's a bruised knee. You can see he's got the left leg immobilized. But I think it's really just precautionary more than anything, because Tony's been walking around fine. He's been smiling the second half. So I think he's resting, and I think he'll be fine by the next time out.
The ACC Special Teams Player of the Week against Clemson last week, even though the Noles Bailey, of course, off the 2 block kicks, scored twice. Pitch to the near side. What a hit. A blow-up hit delivered by Lawrence Timmons. That is his 3rd raucous shot pass today. Boy, can he
I'm adjusting my chin strap up here.
Here's 227 pounds.
Well, listen.
All over Quentin Smith, who goes 215 himself.
Well, welcome to Florida.
3 tackles and a sack today for a defense that registered 4, exceeded their total for the first 3 weeks. Can Rice, and an important possession to the Owls, finish it off? Punch this in. Armstrong for the back of the end zone. Dillard had a step in the back, and it was thrown much too high for him.
Well, Dillard had a step, but Armstrong didn't think he had enough steps, because number 7, Juan Buster Davis, had zeroed in on him. And right now, Florida State defensively, Paul, this is about pride. This is about not letting them in the end zone. This is about keeping it at just 7 points.
Well, you see, we have seen a number of the 2s and 3s defensively for Florida State.
Not now.
No. With the exception of Carter, who's out, you're looking at Florida State's starting defense. On 3rd and goal, high snap, bobbled around. The Noles pick up the football and own it. And it's Nefi Moffitt. A wonderful afternoon for Nefi today. And the fumble recovery. And Odell Haggins, the All-American in his playing days, the defensive tackle coach. The big pat on that gold headgear for Nefi. The third turnover by Rice.
This ball was catchable but high. Armstrong mishandles it there, and Nefi gets those big bits on it. He was hoping he could keep his balance. I'm not sure he can actually run full speed as far as he would have to go. Nefi, don't you hit me next time you see me.
Interesting you say running full speed, because unfortunately, suffering from asthma, it's been difficult for him to run full speed. They've really worked on his conditioning and thus his ability to endure in Nefi Moffitt. This is Marcus Sims, who is checked in at running back for Florida State. His first career carry, the freshman from right here in Tallahassee.
Was told when he was recruited by Florida State that he would primarily be a linebacker to start, but he would be given an opportunity to run the ball. He's not a fullback. He's running out of the tailback position.
Normally this would be Jamal Edwards in this situation as he takes a second carry out close to the 40, working his way off the left side. But Jamal Edwards in practice on Wednesday took a shot off his knee. The knee swelled. The coaches said, well, let's just err on the side of caution and rest him.
And we haven't seen Anthony Lewis on the defensive side because he was injured in practice in what may be a season-ending injury.
And thus Myron Rolle was the starting safety today.
Correct.
There. Marcus Sims, 211 pounds, following his brother Ernie. He's a linebacker. Met in the backfield, falling forward and back to the original line of scrimmage. Chad Price, bandit linebacker, strong safety on this stop. He had a concussion, did Marcus Sims, suffered in the opener in the Orange Bowl in Miami. Special teams coverage, covering a kickoff. That put him on the shelf for a couple of weeks.
He's got one of those special helmets that have the part of the helmet that comes down around your chin a little bit more. It's your jawline that is designed to potentially help protect against concussions.
Florida State shifts everybody over to the near right side. Run the toss sweep. Marcus getting a lot of work here in the fourth quarter to the 40, stepping his way up to the 43. And on second down, that'll still leave him about 5-6 yards shy of the first down. So he becomes, in effect here, your fourth tailback, and as a freshman, a special teams headhunter for the most part.
Very highly touted coming out of high school for his play on both sides of the ball. Right here in Tallahassee, North Florida Christian, which, by the way, is now coached by Casey Weldon. He had a big victory Friday night after an off week at NFC.
I noticed Major Smith, the Hall of Famer, had a picture with Casey Weldon there. Tom's visit, Mr. Smith. Casey, of course, in the Hall of Fame. And just flinging it with that wonderful arm strength. And that is grabbed by Carr. Look at him go. He gets a block at the 10-yard line. And this is a touchdown. What a block from Parker. I think it was Parker, 57 yards, and a touchdown for FSU. And the first for Lee this season. And that pretty much underscores today's game.
Isn't it supposed to be IED'd and not NY?
Greg Carr, 2 touchdowns today. One from Weatherford. This one, 57 yards with some fancy running, and on for his 6th PAT. Well, this is Chase Goggins rather than Gary Sismacia. Florida State may score twice here. They do, the 2-point conversion. They get the deuce.
When things are going right, they go right.
This has been a peculiar year for the kicking game, isn't it? What haven't we seen? Watch Carr run. From Lee, a bright smile on his face. To the tallest Seminole. Will take it the distance, 55-7. Oh, Parker's block.
After the hits, after the scores, after the games, beyond the highlights, it's Tailgate Overtime, presented by Bell South, only on Sun Sports.
It's back. The Chevy Model Year End event. We're moving out the last of the 06 Chevy models. So make your move. They're going fast. More Americans choose Chevy. Claim yours before they're gone.
See your Southern Chevy dealers.
At Checkers Right Side Drive-Thru, we would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. Hooray for Devin! Hooray! And hooray for our massive Big Buford.
Double burger, double cheese, all the fixins, 2 for $3.
The Left Side Drive-Thru would like to congratulate our Employee of the Month, Devin Longman. What's that? Take it off.
How about the Left Side's world-famous Big Buford? Made to order, now just 2 for $3.
Pass me the tape. I just can't wait to see what we can make. Give me mom's keys and the kitty.
Some things don't make sense together. Embark combines things that do. Save money when you combine Embark Home Phone, our most popular calling features, and high-speed internet for $55 a month. Add Embark Wireless or Satellite TV for $30 each per month. Embark, this way to common sense.
So, tell me in your own words a little bit about Geico.
Well, it's one-stop shopping, really, Geico.com. You can get a free rate quote, you could compare coverage options, you could file a claim, pay your bill online. Even, have a little chat with an associate if you need help.
What about you? Can they chat with you?
I'm here for Geico, love. Let's not delve into my personal life, eh?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It is absolutely possible to find a woman who is a sports fan on eHarmony.
I'm in my Browns and he's in his Steelers, 2 biggest rivals in the NFL. Well, as far as I'm concerned. My dad said, "You're gonna marry a Steelers fan?"
Oh, she was stirring up big time when the Browns looked like they had some life.
Looked like they were gonna really give them a run for their money. And
or at least score a point or something. It's fun to have a little banter back and forth.
Find everything you're looking for on eHarmony.com. Log on today.
College football on Sun Sports has been brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. Visit us today to find out why Chevy is America's #1 brand, #1 value. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. Lovely Westcott Hall and the fountain there, the president's office.
Tom Block's office.
And just to the right there that you saw, he gets to go through that gate. Every day, a car was out the gate. 57 yards, the second touchdown reception of the day.
Nothing fancy about the route, but again, he uses that big size to shield just a little. Watch him throttle down right there, which gives him just enough space for that ball to come in. And then watch the block. Right there. Can't see it, but you might have heard it.
Jeff Bowden had worked with his wide receivers on downfield blocking. Practice makes perfect.
Hello.
About that blocking drill on Tuesday. Will there be more of that, you would think? Carr's in. He's come out of his slump, and so too have the Noles, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Nearing 500 yards of total offense for FSU.
Preston Parker had the block in the Orange Bowl against Miami that sprung Booker. Remember the swing pass? He went for 34 yards, and that set up the winning score for FSU. Here is huge blow-em-up block that sends Carr into the end zone. He's got a little toughness to him, doesn't he, Preston Parker?
And the last guy to wear 13 and play wide receiver?
Is that Snoop?
Snoop.
And we saw him in Miami.
Yes, we did.
Down there, King Hotel. You may have mentioned this last week, looking to latch on with an NFL club. Chris Douglas, a 5, and encountered up at the 25-yard line by the Seminoles. Volleyball in the air, and the Florida State volleyball team facing Boston College tomorrow, 1 o'clock in Tully Gym, admission free. A post-game youth clinic for the first 100 young people, 14 and under, to register. Log on to Seminoles.com and join them in Tully. pride of Garnet and Gold football. Greg Carr. And talking to a former outstanding wide receiver in his playing days here, Ron Dugans, now a graduate assistant, offensive staff, and working with the wideouts. Quentin Smith has had a nice day. Although they got away from him in the second quarter, and he's come back a little more effective here in the second half. 64 yards on the ground for the all-conference rusher. And up over 1,600 yards himself is Michael Cornegay, special teams captain. And working at Rover today, Mickey Andrews moving some players around. Here's the option, kept by the quarterback. And Armstrong, tackle made by Eli Charles, another new face, the freshman from Green Cove Springs, Florida.
Well, here's where we put our spotting charts away and grab our flip card that has the numbers and names.
Well, Charles is out there, as is 72. Bud Thacker lining up in there. Promising young talents getting an opportunity to work for most of the fourth quarter that has but 3:14 remaining. And at the gun, Florida State can turn its attention to NC State. Here's the pitch to Smith. To midfield, into Seminole territory, and a first down. I mentioned NC State for, let's remind everyone, Keith, that Chuck Amata and the Wolfpack won last year here.
Took Florida State to a triple overtime game or double overtime game
timeout.
3 years ago.
Seminole shaken at the 40-yard line across the field. The Noles have already lost 2 today. Marcus Ball, Tony Carter the corner. This is Darius McClure. But for Chuck Amata and the struggles that he has had, and anyone that follows Florida State football knows all you have to do is log onto the web and read what's coming out of Raleigh. So what this would mean to him to take on Bobby Bowden and win again. And the weekend began already 2 losses, and for the ACC, it's been particularly difficult outside the league.
The conference is down, and there's no question about that. They've enjoyed some great success, particularly with the addition of Virginia Tech and Miami and Boston College. But certainly, even though I love the ACC, I love the opportunity that has been created for Florida State since they joined. But certainly the ACC not at the same level this year as they were this time last year.
Akron got him out of the MAC. Chuck, of course, made the comments against Akron and their admission standards that infuriated that university. And then Southern Miss, Jeff Bauer picked him off in Hattiesburg. And Jeff Bauer playing Tuesday night back in the Sunshine State against UCF. Southern Miss and the Knights under George O'Leary, both members of this same league in Conference USA. This league, by the way, KJ, has affiliation with no fewer than 7 bowl games. 7. The champion going to the Liberty. So as Rice, if it can win and win 6-7 games, guaranteed of going to postseason play in years to come. Armstrong having to chuck it away. If he was outside the tackle box, that's not intentional grounding.
Same play that they scored on in the first quarter, but this time a great job by Patrick Robinson, the corner on that side, to not let the receiver spring free as Dillard had done in the first quarter.
Defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews, there Kevin Steele stepping in. Mickey Andrews stood up in front of the quarterback club this week and apologized for the loss to Clemson, saying it was no one's fault other than his own. Why did he do that?
Well, it was related to that one play where Clemson went with a no-huddle quick count. Flag down here. There'll be pass interference on Florida State. There's also a Rice Owl down.
That's Armstrong.
Is that Armstrong back around the 46, 47-yard line?
There was Mickey. And I've admired the way that Joel Armstrong, again a wide receiver when the season began, has taken upon himself.
Defense number 22. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Taking it upon himself as Corey Magnum has flagged here, taking upon himself to quarterback this team against one of the best defenses in America. Last week it was Texas, and the week before that, UCLA. Much to admire.
We have an official's timeout for an injured player.
In that junior quarterback.
And the question then becomes, can they get their other quarterbacks? Chase Clement, who is listed as their #1 quarterback, has an injured thumb on his throwing hand. We've got John Shepard, who's a redshirt freshman, only attempted 10 passes in his this season. You know, who do you use? How do you put them in there? How do you make them work? Those will be the challenges ahead for Coach Graham. As you see, John Shepard's going to step in with Armstrong being shaken up.
Off goes Armstrong, and the hand that he will receive from a knowledgeable Seminole crowd. People here that know football. They can appreciate his courage, his heart, and the way that he played against FSU. Threw a touchdown pass today, early in the game. Hung in there against a ferocious no pass rush, the most effective of the year, that included 4 sacks, and threw for 128 yards. Off he goes. And John Shepard is on, a freshman from El Dorado, Arkansas. The second quarterback of the afternoon for Rice. One and only start for him this year came in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. The first 3 weeks of the season, Keith, Rice went through 3 quarterbacks due to injury.
Injuries will do that.
There's Torrin Dixon and John Shepard. 2:11 to go. We will hear from Bobby Bowden, who has to be much more pleased than a week ago against Clemson when he visits with Tom Block.
Rice, this game, Paul, their first trip to Florida in the regular season in 22 years. Last time they played here was down in Miami, a game that they lost. They're here today. They'll be back in Florida in 4 weeks in a game at UCF in Orlando.
So you wait 22 years, and now Todd Graham is going to go from Tallahassee to the City Beautiful, play in the Citrus Bowl. Our steak and shake play of this game. On a sunny afternoon, we have many to choose from, the way that Florida State has popped 4 plays of more than 30 yards today. Came into the game having not made one. Here they go off and go off big, scoring a season-high 55 points, the most that Rice has allowed. Smith to the outside, knocked out of bounds. Let's take a look at this and see what our producer Gary Nicholas has selected. To Greg Carr. That was nice.
And that started the scoring barrage for Florida State, which is now amounted to what, 48 unanswered points?
Well, it was 7-7, so you're right. Once again, those math skills coming to the forefront. And that, you know, the highlight for me, and this will sound silly, one of the highlights was Gary Sismacia nailing that 53-yard field goal.
I would agree. And as is the life of a kicker, he comes back and misses the next point after.
Tell me how many times you hit a great tee shot and then chunked your approach.
I can believe. You've read my book.
Off my way.
Banging for bogeys. Well, how to sink those 45-footers to save 5.
The kicking, they're a fraternity, are they not? Moody and Goggins.
They have to be. Nobody else will hang out with them.
Can John Shepard punch this into the end zone? Smith, by the way, has rushed for 104 yards now. He's out of the game. C.J. Ogakwe is in. Contact as the ball arrived right in front of the official. Defending was Jamie Robinson. The block it batted away. It's incomplete, intended for Torrin Dixon.
It appeared as if Dixon actually batted the ball
the other way,
away, so that Robinson could not intercept. You be the judge. Ball goes up. Guess Robinson did get there first.
2nd and goal.
And again, right now, defensively, Florida State wants to keep them out of the end zone to protect that just 7 points scored by Rice.
The starting unit is back on the field. The pass was caught for a moment, appeared to hit the turf. His rule to catch. at the 2-yard line by Jarrett Dillard, who I put in the same class as Joel Armstrong as far as being competitive.
I think you challenge this. The assistant coaches want Coach Bowden to challenge this. You got to call a timeout first.
Timeout. Rice. That's their second charge. Timeout.
And Rice is called timeout, although Mickey Andrews, Kevin Steele, you may see just to the right of the screen there, Odell Higgins have all come on the field trying to get the attention of the officiating crew for FSU to challenge the call.
Remember, coaches can challenge once. They must have a timeout remaining.
And Todd Graham here calling the timeout, which will leave him one remaining.
Well, he called it because it's 3rd down. Let's take a look at it here with ourselves.
The head coach of Florida State has requested a video replay challenge of the previous play as to whether the pass was caught.
Catch and a drop in your estimation?
I think that's a drop.
You're saying it's incomplete?
Incomplete pass.
Ooh, he was turning and he looked to have possession of that, KJ, when Buster put his right hand in there.
It's very close, and certainly we remind our viewers that it must be indisputable video evidence. So if it's not clear, you go with the call on the field, which was that it was a completed pass.
Atlantic Coast Conference crew and review staff in Doak for this game.
That's very close, but I go with incomplete. What's your vote?
Well, we're looking at it in slow motion. If you can see it at real speed, it would give you more of an effect of how long he held the ball. All right, he couldn't have held that ball for a second.
I go incomplete pass.
You're saying incomplete pass. I sound a little bit dodgy here.
Well, we're used to that.
And a shake of the head. Todd Graham. Buster arrived rather quickly. The ball is spotted at the 2-yard line. We will wait the rulings. Bobby Bowden, Odell Higgins up top, look on. Todd Graham below. This game is 55-7, only 37 seconds to go. Bobby wants to hold Rice to 7. Todd Graham wants to punch it in this game on a positive note for his young team. It's important to those men.
Following review by instant replay, the ruling on the field is overturned. It is an incomplete pass.
Now how does coach?
From the 6-yard line.
Now how does coach like the replay rule?
We'll have to ask him. He gives it the thumbs up and the okay sign.
He was down on it. You heard Dave Hart say he was somewhat down on it. Coach very public saying that replay had not helped Florida State so far this year.
And of course, the biggest issue here is that while it wasn't a huge gain, it is 3 yards of position. And now 3rd and goal, 3rd and 5.5. Much different than 3rd and 2.
With the 1 still out there. Tommy Henderson, the sophomore wide receiver, heads to the far side with John Shepard, freshman quarterback, looking for the end zone and throwing, nearly intercepted by Lawrence Timmons, who has been a nightmare for Rice throughout the day.
Oh, and that's one that LT would absolutely love to have another chance at.
That could have been a 98-yard interception return. He's about as fast as anyone that Rice would have in uniform.
Well, just picture Derek Brooks running with a picked up fumble and an interception, and you got Lawrence Timmons.
We're down to cases now. Maybe the final snap of the day. And Rice's first ever visit to Doak Campbell Stadium. Shepard from the gun takes the snap. Rolls and looks. And out of time is jacked up at the 5-yard line, and that'll do it. Florida State's defense has held on 4th and goal.
And Florida State need not even take the field or take a snap.
As the clock will stop on the change of possession, Geno Hayes led the way for FSU.
Well, after 55.5 minutes, Florida State defensively knows they got to find 81. They got him double covered.
And there was Jamie Robinson defending on Dillard. A gang tackle. The quarterback in Shepard, and Florida State, KJ, will win for the 3rd time in 4 starts this year and get ready for NC State. New quarterback for the Seminoles. On is Tommy Keene. And the final play of the day, well, it's a running play. And the running play was one of the headline stories of the running game today for FSU.
Without question, Florida State very nearly 300 yards on the ground, right at 500 in total offense. And yes, it is Rice, and yes, Florida State was heavily favored, but the offense gets on track. The defense plays well. Bobby will be happy, I'm sure.
Todd Graham congratulating Bobby Bowden. Thanks for joining us. For Keith Jones, Tom Block, and our entire telecast team, Paul Kennedy. And join us Monday night at 7 for Tailgate Overtime, presented by Bell South. See you next week on Primetime Knowles.